Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and GoFundMe link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out though to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Rod, Todd Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, John Travolta, JMales24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Goldie McKiernan, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will plug my GoFundMe. So I am currently running a GoFundMe campaign to replace some aging amplifiers that I've been using ever since I've been doing this show. And unfortunately, they've been going bang more frequently than they need to. So it's about time to replace them. And unfortunately, I simply do not have the funds to do so. That said, I have actually sent the one that's broken again off for repair. And that's where it is now. Although you can see it in this picture, it isn't currently in front of me. Nevertheless, I'm hoping to at least achieve the amount that will cover the cost of the repair, which typically is between about £500 and £800, depending on what's gone bang in it. But nevertheless, I'm hoping to achieve more, so I can actually move forward and actually just replace the damn things, which would be the ideal, and just get something with a warranty. So a massive shout out to all of you who've supported the campaign so far, which is Rebecca Flowers, Matt, an anonymous contributor, Michael Seklavosky and James Doherty. So thank you very much indeed to all of you for supporting the campaign. Now, if you did decide that you wanted to contribute to the campaign, make sure you just set the tip amount to 0. So after you enter the amount that you actually want to contribute to the campaign, just slide the amount down to 0, unless you specifically want to give GoFundMe more than they take anyway, which is obviously fine by me if you do want to do that. But if you didn't want to contribute towards the campaign, just share it. So just stick it on GoFundMe, stick it on Twitter, or stick it on Facebook, and that does help in a massive way to keep the show ticking along, as it has been for quite a number of years. With that, I'm going to hand across to whoever is in Discord and G+, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Should be the 7th month. October is the 8th month. November is the 10th month.
No, it's 10th. December's the 10th month.
December is the 10th month. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then you're like,
if you knew any other language, that'd be very easy. 10 is diez in Spanish. 9 is nueve, so November. 8 is ocho, October. So it makes it very easy in Spanish.
yeah, well, it's got from the Latin roots, right?
Yeah, that's it right there. So I think there was 3 days that stand in limbo at the end of them, or like was it once every month? It was one of them that was just like it just stood still or something like that.
I think they had to put like a special one extra day in there to make up for the whole year, but I haven't looked into it too deeply, just looked at some of the YouTube videos that talk about it.
I hear that, but they never propose a fucking well, here it is, like a model. And then I read some goddamn Freemason shit that says we're 4,000 years, think removed or something like that. 4,000 years or something like that. They said just add 4,000 or minus 4,000, something like that.
Yeah, there's many different thoughts about what the correct year is, because if you go by some of the coinage, you'll find that the coinage doesn't have a 1 at the beginning of the number printed on them, but that's the letter I.
Yeah, the I and the J, there's a big thing about those, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it all
And then there's also
entirely
talk
arbitrary
about
anyway?
there's also talk about the the rulers deciding they wanted to rule in the year 1000, so they added 300 years to the calendar, so they could say, "Oh, I was the ruler during the year 1000."
Isn't it all
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
arbitrary anyway?
Why is that?
Well, it's just our naming structure for what year we call it. So if you're going to say the year of our Lord, that's arbitrary. We've constructed that, haven't we? So it's entirely meaningless. Well, not meaningless, but entirely arbitrary.
Yeah. What you think about the months though? The months, having to do with the language, like the 10 being December or stuff like that. I mean obviously there's some type of etymology there.
Sure. The months, the months, if you will.
The
The lunar
months, yep.
calendar, right?
Yep. Also heard that dudes have periods too. That's very strange. Just like a woman has a period, supposedly guys have periods.
Period is just a description of a section of time, though, isn't it?
Yes. Hey Nathan, what were you saying yesterday about the flat earther not being a group, it's a description? I think I was catching you say something like that, and it was making a lot of sense.
Like saying you're part of the car group. People would know what you meant straight away. If you said you're part of a car club or a car group, people would know what that meant. You're into cars, and you might go to car shows, or you might do it in
Yeah,
a
we're the
car or collect
BMW
cars.
crew. Yeah.
Right, so people understand what that means. Yeah? Well, that's by equivalent what people mean and only mean when they say flat earth. They mean the people, the group, the beliefs, the thoughts of those people in that group, because that allows them to still automatically assume that Earth's still a sphere, and that existing beyond that is a group of people who believe differently. And that's all it is.
I think you got to break that down a different way. Do you mean that in a condescending way, like the way they point the finger towards you like that, or how do you mean as identifying yourself, or how?
If you're of the opinion that cars don't exist, like flat Earth doesn't exist, then you turn the car group away from being about the specific subject heading, which is cars, the mechanics thereof, the beauty held within, the passion of the driving it. The car is the subject. But if you make it about the people, not what the subject is about, then you can start stereotyping them based on your premise that cars don't exist. Now, for the people who oppose us, in their mind, flat Earth is not even a possibility. It does not exist because Earth is obviously, automatically assumed, not by their understanding, but assumed to be a sphere. So, with that principle in mind, and to keep that intact if you're one of our opponents, the way that they mentally deal with it is to take the words flat earth and only associate them with the beliefs of a group of people. Because the concept, the heading, cannot possibly be as far as they are concerned. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think yesterday made a little more sense, but yeah.
I can't remember what context it was in yesterday.
No, I don't think you used an example or anything like that. You were just saying like the description, like flat Earth, we're not a group. It's like that's not going to be a box you can check on a form, or a questionnaire or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just a
yeah.
description.
If you write car down and someone says, "What's that?" What are you going to draw? You're going to draw a group of people standing in a field.
Yeah, we're not falling for that. We're
Right.
our own entity. Flat Earth debate. Not
No,
involved in
it's
all the
exactly the opposite,
nonsense.
Neil. Hold on, it's exactly the opposite, Neil.
Yeah, it is. No, exactly. What we are is not flat Earth. Flat Earth is a description of the plane that we dwell
Yes, I
atop.
understand.
Okay, Neil, thanks. It's a description of the plane we dwell atop. It's not a group.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is we're not getting involved in all the other stuff. I understand. It's a place we dwell atop. Everybody lives on the earth, and it's flat. But they're trying to link us into, like, a whole sect, and we're not that. I don't think flat earth debate has anything to do with any of them, to be honest. Or maybe I'm missing it.
It's like saying, I like gardening. There's a whole group of people out there that are into gardening. Let's bring them to the car culture, quick sharp, because they're an untapped resource. And I got into cars because I used to travel to gardening shows in one. Therefore, there's a connection. Okay? So you think that the group of people who deal with gardening are going to be in any way interested in something that is absolutely unconnected to gardening in any way, shape, or form, which is cars. Let's make it even more specific. Race cars. Racing cars. Cars that go around circuits and tracks. Okay? So that's the situation we've got. Somebody wants to connect a subject that's completely unrelated to us. Then the objection comes. How dare this person associate my beloved subject matter, flat earth, with an unconnected subject matter, Bigfoot? And you go, okay. Well,
Are we going to transition to Bigfoot?
well, I'm just saying by comparison, it's like saying cars and gardening, Bigfoot and flat earth. Where's there a connection? Well, Bigfoot walks on the earth, therefore connection. I travel to gardening shows in a car, therefore connection. Therefore, let's tap that untapped resource of people. No. This isn't about people. This isn't a subject matter that has the heading that has anything to do with the people. Quite the contrary. They're excluded from the subject matter in regards to the nature of our Earth. That's the surface. That's got nothing to do with people at all. Who cares if someone associates it on a social level to the subject? Because they're perfectly entitled to do so if they just say, this is just a group of people that I want to go to because I'm in it, and tell them about this other subject that I cover. Yeah, okay, fine. Great. See how you get on. But trying to tie the two subjects together, it's like, well, then they're not tied together. They're not connected. Unless you think Flat Earth's a group, and then you can directly compare it to a different group of conspiracy theorists. Because Flat Earth's the conspiracy theorists, like the Bigfooters are the conspiracy theorists. So, therefore, they're connected directly because they're both conspiracy theorists. Yeah, I totally get the outrage.
So what do you consider the flat Earth society?
Clues in the tile.
A membership?
It's a society. You can call yourself the Car Owners Club, and then that is specifically about the group of people, the club. What have the people in the club got associated with each other? Car ownership. So in the Flat Earth Club, you can then stereotype all of the things that they typically do, but they don't do that. We're not called the Flat Earth Club, are we? It's just Flat Earth. Then you can disassociate the actual implications of the ground you're standing on from the group that they are talking about.
And I don't think
they call us
that
flat
merch
earthers.
would sell that good.
Hold on, Gene. Go ahead. Hold on, Neil. Go ahead, Gene.
I said, I don't think that merch would sell that good. Flat Earth t-shirts. I don't think we could make too much money off those.
We're considered flat earthers. Maybe that's why Bev is on his little trip there. I don't know.
But yeah, same with John Le Bon. What they stand against is the idea of the group that is Flat Earth and the stupid nonsense that a lot of people who claim to be in that, we're going to call it group, spout. Nonsense ideas of domes and ice walls and such. Well, that isn't Flat Earth. Flat Earth is Flat Earth. The nonsense ideas of a group of people has nothing to do with the nature of Earth unless they're substantiating it and detailing it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate though. people come to flat Earth, and then they start attaching themselves to all these other things, like the mud floods or with Tartaria and all of that. Bigfoot. Bunch of nonsense to
You
me.
don't believe in the electromagnetism crap? The free energy?
I don't know. I don't care. If someone wants to substantiate it with some decent evidence, I'll pay it as much attention as I'd pay the next thing.
Exactly. Where's the evidence? Show me something that I could sink my teeth into.
I saw the Nathan, have you looked into it has part to do with the Tartaria crap, but the fireplaces. Have you looked into that?
Yeah, I've looked at the Antiquitech stuff.
I think that one's just pretty interesting, but I mean, no proof, though, right?
The standard of evidence is pretty low. After about the third time of looking into some of the ancient technology that they'd claimed, and finding there was a perfectly reasonable explanation with a decent timeline and, more importantly than anything, primary source evidence for it, I was like, this is nonsense. This is just idiots not doing any research. And then I just...
Hold on. What
Hold
about
on, hold on.
fireplaces? What did I miss?
No, I'm not doing this. No, don't tell him. And I don't care.
Okay, no, all right, but here's one thing that was very interesting to me, Nathan. Have you ever heard of the Versailles palaces, something like that, in France or something like that?
Yes, Versailles.
Yeah, whatever that. Anyways, they don't have any restrooms. Fun fact, that's it.
And hold on a second. Why can't I get an answer for the fireplaces?
You look it up.
So what? so no restrooms. So what?
Just because I'm leaning towards that breatharian conspiracy.
Let me get this straight. You don't perceive any non-fixed vessel for defecating in. Therefore, based on the lack of restrooms at Versailles, you're going to suggest that people lived on air. That's really what you're telling me, Gene. Really?
That's the way I'm heading. That's the way I'm heading.
Okie dokie.
But I have a little. I don't know. I'm in the medical field, and a lot of what they say makes sense to some type of things. But that's that.
Other than the sort of first law of thermodynamics violation in terms of the energy that you'd need to just vanish out of your ass, like that. Other than that problem, where are you getting the energy from?
Well, you can live off just orange juice alone. So,
but that's got sugar in it, huge quantities.
We're not saying to eat 20 of them.
Okay, let's just drop this conversation. I like you, Gene. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, before Neil's get any clues.
Yeah, Gene, you can. First, I thought you were working for TikTok, then I thought you were working for the McKeegan guy. Now I don't know what you're working for.
What's with the hate
Conspiracy
of TikTok?
theories in general?
What's with the TikTok hate? It's just a platform.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I just think, well, to Nathan's point, yeah, like people don't understand. Like our bodies like naturally make glucose, so it's like we don't really need to be ingesting extra sugars. What's actually recommended is berries, not very, sweet fruits like apples, oranges, and all of that. Not saying you can't have it as a snack like someone would have a pint of ice cream. Like that would be the time that you have a snack on Saturday when you want to eat an orange. But if you're talking about health, it would be berries and, nuts and things like that. I would prefer mostly meat and maybe some berries, but whatever.
Okay, can we drop this subject? As fascinating as diet is to me.
For sure.
Thanks.
How you guys doing?
All right. I'm miserable actually. I'm not getting any sleep, so if I'm short with everyone, that's why. Just keep waking up, not being able to breathe.
Oh
Man, that's
man,
the worst right there.
is it a
interrupts your
humidifier
sleep.
thing or?
I don't want to go through it again. I've gone through it on a couple of shows. Just a whole series of crap's all broken. Then I've run out of money, and then the heating's broken. So yeah, that's caused problems.
Understood.
I could moan
think
about
we
it for
should
a
rob
good
a
solid
bank.
half an hour if you really want me to, but I won't.
Hey, we never got to Astro Kobe. We never got to him. We just skipped him.
Did we never actually cover him?
No, y'all just skipped and went to some Mayweather guy, Mary Weathers or something.
I'm totally fickle. I'll do whatever, won't I? I'm lazy. If it's at the bottom of the list in Skype, that'll be the one I'm doing. Like now, because even though we covered Neil deGrasse Tyson yesterday, the first thing I came across on today's Skype was, what's up with UAPs with Neil deGrasse Tyson? He's talking about balloons.
Yeah, but we did Neil yesterday.
That's true.
So let me repost Astro Kobe in the Discord chat.
Come on, from G Plus, repost it in Skype.
I got you.
Okay.
Thank you
Go
very
ahead,
much.
brother.
Marvelous. Yeah, we'll cover the other Cody guy.
It's Kobe.
Kobe.
Not
Okay.
Cody.
My bad.
Kobi.
Is he really that fussy about his name being said correctly? Okay, Kobe. Yeah, we'll cover him.
Yes, he is, Nathix.
No worries, Noel.
Did you post it?
I think he's
There's
took it to Eugene.
Oh, that's your deal. Okay, I got it.
Thanks.
There it goes. Posted it. Let me pop these brain pills, see if I get any smarter.
This is what we're covering. Okay. Did they prove it? Crazy experiments used to prove Earth is flat. Yeah, I remember this. Guy doesn't understand what science is straight off the bat.
But he's got 1.1 million views.
So?
I mean, subs, my bad.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. So what? I mean, as a YouTuber, oh, very jealous. I'd love to have as many subscribers as that.
I was about to say that. Like, you sound pretty jelly.
Oh, I am. As a YouTuber, I'll be the first to admit it. But does that mean I'm critiquing it
Hey,
based
Nathan,
on the timing. So, based on me saying he doesn't know what science is straight off the bat, just based on his title, you're like, yeah, but he's got a load of subs. Okay, does your appeal to consensus overcome my objection to his notion that there's experiments to prove concrete nouns?
Oh, that confuses me. Why does he have that many subs? I don't get it. Why don't you have 1 million? The content we put out
because we are suppressed, censored. That's why, Neil.
Hey Nathan, what if we start using code words?
It's not just. It's twofold. It is the suppression, but we really have to understand, like, how, and how they're doing this. So it's not just the suppression, but it's also that most people are lazy, right? So if they're Googling flat Earth and they've just been getting these same things, like, I mean, how much can they cycle this stuff, right? So people aren't really interested, but since they never got any real information anyway, all they have is this stuff. So it's like they never engaged our information. So what it is we have to reach them in the midst of all of their cognitive dissonance because they've seen these videos and yada yada yada. That's our uphill fight, Neil.
Oh, one thing I wanted to say when I was my cousin was trying to see the podcasts of this. He asked me that, why is this thing why is it censored? He literally said, I typed in Nathan Oakley and all that. He goes, the videos you were talking about, he said there were like 4 scrolls down before I saw one of those. And then I said, well, do you see all that content that's right there in front, up top? I said, and I just threw up Simon Dan and Professor Dave. And he goes, yeah, I think I saw something like that. I said, why is that up top? I said, how does a Google search work then? Like, isn't it the most, tries to give you the best match, right, of the text that you inputted? And yeah, it doesn't work like that. Like, that means you are algorithmically fucked. And he just made it a little bit more credible Flat Earth was a little more credible just because of that to him. He says, well, that's weird how they would push it down there when it's obviously what I'm trying to find.
Someone said it in one of the comments on that video about P-Brain and Karen B. They were like, no tramp stamp on Bigfoot.
That's just hate at that point.
Well, you just, no need, is there? Because people wouldn't even consider it to be true for the most part. Oh, no offense to Karen B in that regard. I'm not trying to have a dig. I'm just saying that for the most part, people go, Bigfoot. That's just general reaction. Now, don't get me wrong. People do the same to Flat Earth, and they want to keep it that way. But to achieve it with Bigfoot, they haven't needed to censor it. They haven't needed to put a tramp stamp underneath it telling you the Bigfoot ain't real. Have they? That's the point.
Is belief in Bigfoot dangerous for the established order?
Nah, not at all.
No, but it's a step in the right direction.
Flat Earth won't kill you, will it? Does Flat Earth have a gun?
That's not
That depends on who you are.
No. So our discussion earlier was about, does Flat Earth represent a group of people or the plane we dwell atop? And your response to him was, does Flat Earth have a gun? Do you see how this magic trick's working now?
Yeah, I love it. I'm the next Neil deGrasse Tyson.
But no, it's the way we've all been brainwashed in terms of our perception of it. If it's automatically assumed that Earth is a sphere, in other words, you don't contemplate that you've just begged the question, then anything beyond that is ludicrous. So in order to maintain a lack of cognitive dissonance in this regard, you don't offer it up as an alternative model to how the ground is. You offer it up as a kooky conspiracy theory made up of lots of these weird people with these weird ideas. What ideas? Well, the ideas that NASA's lying and that space is fake. No, those are overcomes for your positive claims. Those aren't our claims, right? But then suddenly, a flat earther is a guy who takes apart globe claims. So you're hearing globe claims. That's all you're hearing. That's ideal, isn't it? Not about the nature of Earth anymore. It's about a guy making anti-globe claims, according to them. They haven't even contemplated it as a way of perceiving reality at that point. Now, every single person that postulates, here's a stupid flat earther and what the stupid flat earther says, the guy who comes to watch that in the preferred content top of the list is going to reaffirm his notion of what flat Earth actually is. It's a group of people with stupid notions, not the ground you're standing on. Make sense? And then you ask yourself something like, has the flat Earth got a gun? No, but a guy in a group with weird ideas might have a gun. Yeah?
And we lump them all together.
And what does a gun have to do with gas pressure needing containment?
What's gas pressure needing a container got to do with flat Earth?
Very good question. It doesn't.
Doesn't have anything to do with it.
That's why we asked them the question about what they claim, and we debunk them with black swan and gas pressure, and then they reverse it.
Here's another way of putting it. You need the general public to be unaware that the assertion of a sphere is actually a positive claim. If you can make them forget and just know it's the case to begin with, you're on a winner always, because it doesn't matter what anybody puts to that person. They can't cognitively process anything else. And even hearing the words flat Earth, that in itself is a bit of a ruse, because you're putting the dirty detail on the title, but in the book, yeah, after the front cover, Flat Earth, you've got a story about people, not a story about Earth.
Well, you've always said they're the ones with the extraordinary claim.
Yep.
Well, it's interesting, though, because when you first come to this topic, you have a bunch of people talking about their beliefs and why they believe it's flat. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Because that's what they want.
Yeah.
It can't be an actual reality. It's a belief of a man.
But the ball earth relies on beliefs because there's no evidence, no proof. It don't exist. So it's a belief to them, whether they like it or not.
But like I say, they're not aware of that at a conscious level at all. It's a fait accompli. It's an automatically truth statement when they know they're on a sphere. So coming from that point, dogged assurance, they're already on the front foot when they oppose anybody. It doesn't matter what they say about the reality they're facing, especially if all the questions and talking points have already been put into the mix at the Feast of Nonsense. And they're all about globe claims. So all a flat earther is somebody who's going to talk about globe claims. So we can argue about globe claims.
Right. So you got to agree that they did some job indoctrinating the world, did they not?
Yeah.
It's called being first.
But that implies
called
that
being
some
in the
dude
cave.
stood behind a desk with a playbook working out what's going to happen. No, we don't know where we're going to go from here, right? So, for instance, Black Swan, gas pressure without a container, all of these more recent arguments that Flat Earth has developed against the positive and extraordinary claim of a globe, they need to be overcome. Do they need to be overcome by a guy at a desk with a playbook? Does that guy with a playbook put these notions out into the public for them to chew over and then re-spit out? No! Who comes up with them? Slice Barkane comes up with them. Andrew Thomas Young comes up with them. George Musa comes up with them. Einstein comes up with them. People fill in the cracks themselves. As long as they're brainwashed from birth, that is the position, not the status quo. That just is how it is. Earth just is a sphere. Then they're going to move forward, and when anything challenges that, they're going to go, oh, well, I need to solve that. Because Earth is a sphere, there's got to be a solution to this, because Earth's a sphere. That mentality is incredibly powerful and is self-perpetuating after a certain point. You don't need to pay any shills. People do it of their own volition.
Because they recognize the what would you call it? The danger to the authority structure they buy into.
Yeah, it's like a threat to their own family. See, all the time when people have a family member that's accused of a heinous crime, they're in the dock, they're essentially undoing their own story or having it demonstrated that how they're a liar and that they're guilty of the crime. Now, the parent in that scenario is going to stand by that person and deny that the person could have ever done that, even though they have. Why? Well, because that's like how a loving mother behaves to their son or daughter, regardless of what they've done. It's unconditional, all of those things. People have the same unconditional love for Big Brother. That's all it is. That's what this boils down to. And when you challenge Big Brother, it's like challenging your beloved son. People are going to defend it. It's like we said yesterday with Morpheus. There are some people so hopelessly immersed in the system that they will fight to protect it. They need to pay them. Just need to challenge what they've got as a worldview, a paradigm that is so cemented in their mentality that if it's in any way challenged, the cognitive pain is too much. It's far less painful to try and just overcome the problem. Or wrap it up in a nice little parcel, call it a paradox, change the model, whatever it is that cognitively soothes them back into the notion that their paradigm has always been correct and is never even questionable. It's still the case. And whenever you show them that they're wrong, completely wrong, well, it's still a ball, don't they? How has that been achieved? Well, because that's what the first thing they saw when it was dangling above their bed. That's why.
You got the video queued up, Nathan?
I have.
But that's one of the things that makes this topic so interesting, though, isn't it?
Yep. The psychology of it? Absolutely.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Well,
Hi Nathan, how you doing? Oh, I was just going to ask. Like yesterday, I really took on board what you said. I've been thinking about it actually all night and this morning. You know when you said, "Do we even call ourselves flat earthers anymore?" Because we're being washed up with this, like with the, the pizza disc. Not in a sense,
Well, the way I was kind of thinking about that when I said it was that when you look at some of the people we challenge, I think it might have been with that Matthew guy. If you go back and listen to the majority of what we're doing, we're not debunking him. Now, we are ultimately debunking him, but in many large chunks of response, we're correcting him, aren't we? Now, when it comes to the origins of heliocentrism and conversions from flat Earth elevation angle measurements, we are more educated in the origins of the heliocentric model than your average globe proponent. Now, when it comes down to that sort of that understanding of what we oppose, admittedly, how can you describe us as flat earthers when we are more accurately disseminating the true, historic, documented and supported truth of the globe than even your average globe believer is? How can you label us with the tarred brush that is the group? I'm gonna have to cough my lungs up. Excuse me. Yeah. So
Yeah,
what is
we
flat
should
Earth
be
when you
celestial.
stereotype it into a group rather than the nature of reality? It's a group of people that talk about domes and ice walls. Well, that isn't us, is it? So what do you call us? I don't know yet, but it's not really matter. It doesn't really matter what we call
I
ourselves.
think we should move forward with it's a description, not a group. Something along those terms, to take away the group part, to take away the membership, the T-shirt people, the card-carrying people.
Gene, we could call ourselves globe busters.
Why don't we call ourselves celestial earthers?
Whatever, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference to me. When people call me a flat earther, I'm like, yeah, fine. I don't, because it doesn't bother me. I don't really care until you start, like we are now, looking into what the connotations of the term means when it isn't a description of the ground. You go, what does it mean to be a flat earther? And you go, how many of these things on that list do we represent? Very few.
I got it. Wrecking balls. We are the wrecking balls.
I think the way I'm gonna move forward with it is just saying, well, that's just a description.
Yeah, exactly. In other words, take it entirely away from renaming a group. What's flat Earth? It's a description of the ground. It's how it's measured and built on and navigated. It's the ground. Yeah, but you flat earthers, whoa.
Yeah, so I don't believe in all the pizzas and all that.
I got a good one. How about the terrestrial plaintiffs? Plaintiffs, get it? Plaintiffs, terrestrial plaintiffs.
There's a certain mentality that we're sociable, right? People are sociable. They want to be part of a group. Well, is there any need to be?
Ain't we destroying the ball?
I say we take the group part away.
Yeah, exactly. When you're talking about the subject matter, what's the subject matter about? Is it about the group of people who go and celebrate their joy of cars in a field? That would be the car owners club. Or is it the car and its engineering and the ground and its geometry? Which is it?
Wait a second. But what do we do here, Nathan? What do we do here on Flat Earth Debate Daily?
There is no we.
Take apart the globe.
Yeah, debate flat Earth.
There is no we.
We take apart the globe. What do you do here? What do we do individually now that we've come to the truth that we live on a plane, a flat Earth, an aspect? We take apart heliocentric nonsense.
Oh, I thought you meant like literally. I've spent quite a long time cleaning mold recently.
Nathan, that mold is not good. You better get rid of it. I know a pastor that got an eternal sickness from it.
Neil still wants a membership. He still wants a T-shirt.
Yeah, Neil does.
Hey Neil, how about the heliocentric assassins?
Yeah.
Not only does Neil want to be part of a group, he wants to ascribe others parts of groups. And if you can't figure out what group to ascribe them to, he'll verbalise that, like he did earlier.
Neil make a good Christian.
Well, Gene, first you're a TikTok rep, then you're a Which groups did you assign him to again, Neil? I can't remember.
You guys
I'm
need
a
to
flat
learn
earther
how
with
to
a gun
joke.
now.
You just don't know. You just don't know when I'm breaking balls and joking. Come on,
I do know when you're breaking balls and joking.
Day.
Try and listen
Then
to
it
the
was
nuance of what I'm
McTeagan every
detailing, though,
day.
Neil. The nuance is that you've ascribed him into a group. Now, that's not agree, disagree. You have. But it's interesting, given that that's the subject matter. Just be joyful that we're bringing you in on it and using you as an example.
Yay!
Do you know when I'm breaking people's balls? Yeah, I do. But you have still associated people
Okay,
into a group.
okay, Neil. You can be our honorary guest of honor today.
Neil's always the honorary guest. What are you talking about?
And I do make a great Christian. Thank you very
But
much.
have you paid your membership fee?
Neil Scrounge's free
My
membership.
membership has been paid in full. I don't have to pay
Revoked.
anything.
Neil's changed
Well,
the
if you want to
subject
be
on
part
you.
of this
Right.
membership,
Neil's changed the subject on you.
Yeah, Nathan's very observant. He knows exactly what I'm talking about.
It's crazy because you don't have to pay a membership for actual church either. That's another lie. But
it's tithing,
that's not a
10%.
conversation for the show.
Ask 10th man.
Yeah, but Nathan knows what I meant when
There
I
you
said
go. There's the
I'm
Christian
paid
example
full.
of it. Why not? What's the church? Is it a building?
Tithing.
Is it a building?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Not biblically speaking. You know what a tithe is? Not what people think it or say it is, not biblically speaking today.
No, no.
Correct.
I know.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct
right,
again.
Right, but when you say the church,
From the Bible's perspective, a church is when two or more people come together to discuss truth.
right,
And when
And
those people form a community, it becomes the body of Christ,
right.
biblically speaking.
Correct.
So what's the church?
We just
The
told
body
you.
of Christ.
Us sitting here every day. Telling
Science
people
versus
the truth.
Science.
Sorry, like the body of Christ is the church.
It's a hate
But
group.
when people confuse temples with the church is when this discussion happens.
Yeah, well, that's what happened, John. Instead of the
But it
church
says the
being
body is a temple.
hospital, hold on. Instead of the church being a hospital for the sick, it became a museum for supposed saints.
It's not a building.
Correct.
Well, the Bible said the temple was the body, so
Why do you think it says that?
because it's in text and I read it.
It's a metaphor.
Well, how about
we-
I will send you. Well, can I finish, please? How about I won't leave you alone. I'll send you the Comforter. He will be in you and guide you. So the Holy Spirit is in every believer when they're regenerated through faith in Christ.
Hold on.
How
They
am
become
I
a
to
brand new
discern?
creature.
We have to. It's a defined.
Well, you
notion.
want to know the
What-
Christian doctrine or not? I
Hold
mean,
on.
my goodness.
Hold on, Ted. What a temple is defined, isn't it? And how you behave in that building and treat the building is also clear. So if you are to treat your body as you treat that building, that has a certain meaning to it in terms of the respect and the cleanliness and all the other things that are imposed upon temples as buildings. But in terms of biblical descriptions of what goes on in temples, I can remember a very vivid description based on a biblical story of Jesus being outraged at the den of thieves he described going on in a temple.
Well, there's this
Correct.
verse that says, "Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you." So that goes with what Tenth was saying. I kind of just jumped in. Is that what you guys are talking about?
Yeah, it was something I said that Nathan said, you know what? Go on. And I feel like we've moved far away from the point being that there is no payment for membership. Like people confuse donations for a priest with
Well, the word tithing is
tithe.
what we're discussing. Yeah,
Tithe
tithing.
has nothing to do with payment or currency in the sense of dollars.
It can.
That was the point. If it's
Well,
not supposed to be, church is not a building, and there really is no rule to pay a specific amount. Like that's all
it's a,
ridiculous. It has nothing to do with the
it,
Bible.
well, in the Old
What
Testament, a tithe was a tenth of everything you had, right? So if it's all money that you earn, then money is everything you have, right? In a sense, you could say.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button, together with a GoFundMe campaign currently running to replace some aging studio equipment in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by... Oh, I'm on the wrong tab. Neil, Refracted Curvature, Eli, 10th Man Rising, Chocolate Saying, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Paid in full, baby.
Hello.
Good morning. I'm not part of a group.
Yeah, in the pre-show we were discussing group mentality and group affiliations and the disassociation from the nature of reality. That's the flat ground that we dwell atop, with a description of a group called Flat Earth, when globe earthers disassociate the alternative reality aspect of Flat Earth and juxtapose that with a group of people with crazy ideas about how the globe doesn't work, for example. So that was something you can enjoy if you want to check that out in the pre-show. Become a member if you haven't done already. It's all working. Nobody's in the chat.
What?
Oh, my chat's
globe?
broken on this page. It's working on the other one, though. Okay. Hello, everyone in chat. Good to see you all. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nah.
When you say gravity, what do you mean? Weight?
I don't mean anything. I'm not making the claim.
No, when they made their model, and we're a ball in their model and we're spinning in outer space, they needed a force. They needed something to keep the oceans and things down on this earth that's spinning so people don't spin off. So because they made that model, they realized, hey, apples fall from trees. I could drop a microphone. Hey, let's say there's a force from the center pulling, and we'll say mass attracts mass. So they explain dropping with their model rather than density and the medium that the thing is dropping in, which can happen on any surface. So you see how wild this thing is.
But as I say, I'm not offering up any positive claim in that regard, Neil. I'm asking for somebody, given that the entirety of the Western world is under the misapprehension that they're standing on a spinning ball, spinning through space in a sky vacuum. If there's any evidence for the description just given by 10th Man, that would be that there's a notion of something called gravity, which is heard often from our opponents. We want scientific evidence for that if they're going to claim it. Shout out to...
There is none.
Ron Diggity Prepper. Is that right? Ron Diggity Prepper with the super chat.
Nathan,
read that again.
you should hire somebody to read your super chats.
What are you trying to
'cause
say?
you
I'm
butchered
illiterate. Trying to say I'm illiterate.
No, dyslexic.
No,
I'd just
A
go with
butcher.
blind, not illiterate.
Blind.
It's not
That's
that you
probably
can't
more
read it,
accurate.
you can't see it.
It is very small on my screen. I've got 2 monitors and they're very big, so I can fit a lot of software on, which means the writing's very small. So I'm going to go with blind.
Maybe it's optical drop.
Could be.
Well, I have evidence of Earth curve, but
I didn't ask.
if we want
Did
to
I
do
ask?
that
You
next.
asked for Earth curve evidence. Any evidence of Earth curve?
Well, as it turns out, it's really intricate, and you have to get below surface level before you can really see it.
Surface what now?
It's
Way to
just below
drop
surface level to see it.
Surface level to see curve. That's a contradiction in terms, John.
It was supposed to be a pun, but I guess I'm done.
Wouldn't that surface have to be curved, though? How do you see
he said
that
level.
curve from below the surface curve to the surface level?
No, chocolate. A surface level wouldn't have to be curved. Again, that's sort of saying, no, I must enforce my contradiction in terms.
Hello.
Hello, Owen. Okay.
That's just bananas.
Is that it?
No, all you do is redefine term equidistant to the center.
no, but Chocolate's right. If you're on a sphere, that surface should be curved.
No, not when it's equidistant to the center at all points. Not to them. They don't know curve. Straight is curved and curved is straight to them.
D Rose says from the super chat, Nathan, call out Duper Poons for the chat to enter the Discord with his maps, in quotes, evidence of globular Earth. Do you want to get in the chat, Duper Poons?
No, he's a globe idiot. He's mostly harmless.
Yeah, but I'm a
So
total.
he's coming flat.
I've been paid to do
We
that.
like
I'm a total
those.
whore, Arwin. He asked me to say it, so I said it because he gave me money to do so. So I just said it. Anyway, my being a whore aside, Godzilla37's just gifted 5 memberships. I like this whole gifting membership thing. I remember not knowing what it was when I used to watch people repeat their Twitch streams on YouTube, and they'd be like, because they call it subs. Although I'm still not 100% clear, I've never used Twitch or watched anything on Twitch. But nevertheless, from my understanding, memberships are called subscriptions on Twitch. And people will do exactly the same on Twitch, which is presumably where YouTube have got this from, where you can gift memberships to people. But I think it's a great idea, because it encourages people to have a closer association with the show where they may not have had it. Or they may have just given me money because they want to support the show, but they hadn't necessarily considered becoming a member. Well, if you're gifted one, you're obviously a lot more inclined, and it's more likely to get Glober members, which I also quite like, because it gets the discussion forum a lot more interesting when there's membership videos. So the membership
I
videos,
never would have thought of that.
Well, it does, because the people go back. So the members, some of the viewing figures on my membership videos are outstanding. Like, back in the day when I first started memberships, I'd go, oh, I had 3 views on that. And you go, yeah, I remember the days when I had 3 views on a video released on YouTube to the public because you had no subs. So it's kind of back like being when you had no subs when you start up memberships. Now, the majority of them get up to about 100 views, and I'm releasing them daily. And you go, wow, that's fantastic. Why? Well, because there's a few people who aren't flat earthers that have been gifted memberships. And they'll go in and go, well, I don't need to speculate what about they say, but you as a member would know because you've seen them in there and you reply to them, which means you're going back to the video, interacting with the video more, completely unbeknownst to the public, which I just find fascinating, if nothing else. It's just really interesting to see it happening in non-public videos. They eventually some of them become public anyway. If I need to fill gaps, that's what I'll usually put out, a well-received membership video. But you'll then see all the comments underneath it occasionally when it's something that I haven't seen this before. It's only going to premiere in an hour, but there's 70 comments underneath. What's this all about? You'll read through. It's all members arguing amongst themselves because there's Globers in there now, which is great. So shout out to Godzilla. He's just gifted a load of memberships. I'm pretty sure they've all been taken up already. Okay. So
now,
go on.
I was going to say, now that we understand that Glover is weird religious viewpoint.
Definitely on Thursday, perhaps. Maybe next week sometime. You're breaking up, John. We can hear what you're saying. That was my way of saying we can't understand what you're saying.
But real quick, back to what D-Rose had said. Somebody was asserting that they could prove glob Earth with maps. So somebody's gonna come fully strapped with reification fallacies, because maps don't prove shit. Like bring measurement of surface curvature, not maps, because maps
Well,
are
flat anyway.
Just a projection.
Well, even so, there are projections that have come from the origin of a flat Earth elevation angle measurement to Polaris if they're using latitude lines. Anyway, we're going to cover this video. So this is Astro Kobe.
And I've got.
Go on. Go on, Adam.
Just on that, I was woman and ahhing whether to say it because it's not a great. Well, it's not a proof of anything. But it's just a little bit of interest. Now, the other day you mentioned Eratosthenes, so I thought I'd do a little bit of sniffing around, see if I could find him, because I remembered you couldn't. And that appears to be the case. There's no direct sources of Eratosthenes. He's cited.
You talk to your mic a bit more. You're a bit muffled.
Sorry, he's cited by later scholars. One of the documents I did come across was one that's attributed to him, and it's, I'll just call it up on screen if that's all right. It's this one here. Catasterism. Can't say it. Catasterism. That word there. And what this is, like a lot of ancient stuff, they would use mythology to enable you to tell the stars. So the stars would also, I think I've mentioned it before, you can look at Jewish stuff and they'll show you Noah and stuff in the sky. And the stars are there to tell tales, remember history, and to deify people. Eratosthenes is famous for this, and he's combining measurement of the stars, placement of the stars, with this historical storytelling. But the thing I found interesting, and these are again attributed to him, but they're part of the oldest records we got, are these star charts, which are based on his plotting. And I just wanted to have a little look at it, because we've mentioned this before. Now this is Eratosthenes plotting it, but look at what he's plotted it on. North, south, east, and west. He's plotted it on a flat plane. He will have mentioned elevation angles, but more importantly, the way he's recorded it is on a flat surface, because he's put the north, south, east, west. He's not put anything else. Therefore, it is a flat plane of surface he's using to chart his stars.
Presumably because he's noting the geographical positions of these stars, right?
Yeah, but as soon as you do that, you're on a plane. Remember,
I totally appreciate that. He's got to do it on a flat surface, but what I'm saying is this would represent where the star would be above on the ground, correct? Right.
It's a planisphere.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, it's got to be done on a plane.
But these are his woodcut, copies of the woodcuts done. But they're all his. I just thought that was interesting, that for all that said, the way in which he measured and placed the stars was on a flat plane.
Okay, so before we get on to Kobe, I'm going to say this, which is, I believe there's a reason why we have to be treated to a certain degree with kit gloves in terms of how we are censored. Because there's a very fine line between being a stereotypical idiot flat earther in the group sense of the description versus the actual origin stories for the globe requiring Earth to be flat because that's how it's measured. So they have to keep the notion in the people's mind's eye as a group that needs ridiculing, as opposed to it having any cross-reference to the nature of how a globe's developed off a flat plane with elevation angle measurements to Polaris for latitude lines, or how any of their origin stories have modelled and mapped stars with relation to a flat plane beneath them. Because if you just have those non-contextualized for a flat Earth as a concept of the ground and how it works, you can just lie about how this plane is actually in relation to a sphere, because there's no direct connection to the guys, that's the group of flat Earth, talking about this exact thing, and how your models, your historic referenced characters are alleged to be deriving their maps and models of the stars above a flat plane. That's how it's done. That's the only way it can be done. It's a prerequisite that you have a flat plane. Shout out to unindoctrinated. Is that how you say it? Unindoctrinated. Yeah. Of course it is. Why is it with all these tongue twisters?
Unindoctrinated.
Sorry?
Put his name in the middle.
What is it? Ryan in the middle. I got that bit.
Indoctrinated. Yeah.
Indoctrinated. Okay. It's all these horrible words while I've got a cold. Duper Prunes keeps trying to click the link and join and present his globe evidence, but keeps missing the button because of refraction. Very good. Thank you very much for the super chat. I should really put this on screen, eh? Also, thank you very much to Sasha, Unitox Femu. Just pop that back on screen for a sec. He says, I see real objects in distance. What shall I do? I don't get it. It normally takes 2 or 3 seconds for the penny to drop with Unitox Femus. I'm going to have to cough again, excuse me.
Do what all the other ballers do. Refraction.
Indeed.
It means Nathan Oakley. It means that it's.
Can't hear what you're saying, Brian.
Sorry. I think the super chat means that it's not refracted if it's real objects.
Maybe. My brain's not functioning correctly, but thank you for the super chat, Unitox Femu. Really appreciate it. Right, Adam, was there anything else? Or can we get on to Kobe?
I get that from you. You said lighthouse on 10 miles.
I see real objects in distance. What shall I do? I see what you're saying. You're saying you open your eyes and you see a lighthouse, and you go, lighthouse. And the guy next to you goes, no, we've got to calculate how much that's not there. Okay. Yeah, that's the point. Right, so this is Astro Kobe. I'm going to show his link again. As I would advise anybody who's responding to me. You know, obviously share the love. We're all YouTubers, and we obviously want this Kobe guy to do as well as possible. And the way we'd algorithmically help him do so is by going to his video based on the link right now. I mean, do it now and just let him know. You know, right now, Nathan Oakley 1980 and panel are responding to your video. Much love, liked your video. Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. So hopefully he would do the same for me were he to respond to this video. But we're going to get into this. So we did actually watch, I think, 30 seconds of it. So we're going to start a little way on in terms of this. So we just get into it a bit quicker. But yeah, that's what we're going to do now.
Hole in the ground. So I guess there's just one question. Are these people serious?
No curvature there to be found. How can it be a ball if nothing about it is round?
NASA's definitely in on it.
And we absolutely know for a fact, this ain't it.
Is it an image?
Notice how earlier we were talking about how the representation will be that a flat earther makes quote-unquote claims that are actually addressing the positive assertion that we're on a ball. So in this particular video, straight off the bat, what we've got is no flat earth claims actually being made, but the assertion that the only talking point is globe and whether or not globe, or how is or isn't globe. So it's always just globe that's being talked about, because these numpties, like AstroKobi, assume that the only thing that ever needs to be talked about is how a flat earther represents their positive claim.
Images can be photoshopped, right?
So we're talking about the positive assertion that we got a sky vacuum with photos coming from it, proving a flat earth. Oh, that sounds non sequitur. But this has definitely got prove earth is flat. So what are you just strawmanning us and misrepresenting us when you use the title that's suggesting that these people are doing anything other than claiming to debunk a globe? Because that's what they're doing.
You're going to notice some cartoon clouds here, or Photoshop.
In the positive assertion that Earth is a sphere. Yeah? You see where I'm going with this? Huh? I haven't even got anything to say on that. Anybody want to comment on that? This is a
why
group
would you say that? Who says let's? Oh, you know, you've achieved all that. Who's the one that think that? What we should say is, we're not mad as a box of frogs. All the points you could make.
I don't get it.
All the points you can make. You need to actually have points to make. They don't.
It's
So
flat would have done, wouldn't it?
Just I
Not-
don't get it. I don't get it. This
We're not mental.
We are not part of that group.
Still think that it takes money to make money? Bullshit. That's just what rich people want you to believe so that they...
The strange part about this flat Earth belief is
that none of them represent what you're now putting up on screen. That none of them suggested what you've got on screen. None of them have identified it or claimed it. But yet that's what we're cutting to when you talk about their beliefs. Their beliefs were addresses to your positive claim that we're on a sphere. That's all we've had so far. So we're going to talk about our beliefs about your beliefs. Is that how this is going to go?
that it's relatively new. You see, the ancient Greeks had proved that the Earth was round in like 500 BC.
In like 500 BC? Is that like your blonde... What do you guys call them in America? Like, I was with Teresa and she she said that she was all over there and she wasn't there at all. Like
Valley Girls. Valley Girls.
Valley Girl, there you go. I knew I'd get the term.
Like,
So is
totally,
that
for sure.
like Valley Girl 500 BC? Okay. The ancient Greeks had proof that Earth is round in like 500 BC. Okay, what was it? Let's see if the next breath is that proof.
How they did it is pretty crazy, but we'll get to that in a second.
Whoa.
Can I comment?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. See, this is what I said a week or two ago. All they got is the ancient Greeks, the West, as they call it. They forget all the other cultures, all the evidence from the other cultures. And so this idea of spheres and how they thought it was a perfect shape. So they started philosophizing. And of course, we know who the Greeks are, and we know what they named the planets: Jupiter, Apollo, Saturn, name of their gods. So this thing started with the Greeks. Everybody knew, everybody's not the Greeks. And so this idea started getting foothold within the Greeks. And next thing you know, it's what everyone believes today. But what history will show you is that the rest of the cultures, Babylonian, Sumerian, Egyptian, you name it, believed in the flat plane. And they showed in their architecture and their artwork. And in written
Okay, that's
scripts.
fine. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I don't care what the Greeks believed. But what I would have liked to have seen was something to substantiate that statement. He said
That's
the
my
Greeks
point.
proved it, but then that's now a baseless assertion fallacy. Now I said it
worse than that.
Well, let me finish. That is my very point. That's all they got, is to say the ancient Greeks, because they can't prove it.
Oh, when you say to say just the ancient Greeks, is like saying I can prove unicorns because of ancient Egyptians. That's my evidence. Saying ancient Egyptians.
Just as long as it's in the record of history that somebody started this and it gained foothold. Here's what happened. So they got immediate pushback, okay? And then it took until Copernicus for it to catch really on fire, okay? Because it just was being argued among the intellectuals for over 1,000 years. And then it caught on fire, and that's where we are today. The ancient Greeks, they knew it was a globe. Okay, good, show me.
Yeah.
Why do you keep going to the ancient Greeks? Why can't you show it to me today?
That's exactly it. Show me. Yeah, okay, you say the ancient Greeks proved it. What did they prove it with? Show it. Oh,
That-
you'll get to
that's
that later.
that's what I
You're all. Go on, Chuck.
that's what I always found was pretty funny, right? That you ask them, what's your proof for your globe, and they go to things 2,000 years old, right? But then you go on their videos or on our videos, and what do they say? Oh, flat Earth is archaic, an archaic model of the world. Archaic, but you just brought up Eratosthenes.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Like, are you
He
okay?
just said the ancient Greeks proved it. That's all he said. That's a baseless assertion.
Yeah, ancient. That sounds like archaic.
No one's picking up what I'm putting down. I'm just going to move on.
And yet,
So
the flat
archaic,
earthers
John.
only.
Go on, Adam.
It's so archaic. I was like, I've done a bit of Eratosthenes. I assume he's going to have to mean Eratosthenes. But I will just say, he wrote on many topics: geography, mathematics, philosophy, chronology, literary, poetry, grammar, and even told comedies. I don't know how they know this, because the next statement is, unfortunately, there are no documents left of his work after the destruction of the Library of Alexandria. So they assume these documents existed. As I said, it's not until 300 years after Eratosthenes that you get the pseudo versions, which aren't attributed but are recollections of his work by other people. This is 300 years later. You know, sometimes when we think of stuff thousands of years, something 1800 years ago and 2100 years ago, you think they're close together. It's not even close. It's 300 years after he supposedly wrote this, after these documents have been burnt, that somebody else is posthumously describing it.
Right.
There's no other evidence for him.
Elevation angles.
Well, yeah, elevation angles are going to be required. Exactly. We covered that in the pre-show.
I think you're all being mind tricked there now. I asked the question years ago. Show me the evidence that the Greeks supported or promoted the globe. I got nothing.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's a baseless assertion to just say the Greeks proved it. Okay. Do you want to back that with some evidence that they proved it? Now, you can't even find primary source evidence for the characters they say postulated it, let alone primary source evidence for the claim itself, as Adam's just demonstrated. At least Brian picked up what I was putting down.
Only really started emerging in the 1800s. And
okay, so now let's see if he cites something, primary source evidence, for this suggestion that in the 1800s it emerged. Let's see if it's like the 1800s without any citation. Let's see.
It all started with one main guy.
Let me get it straight. He thinks Samuel Rowbotham started Flat Earth. So it's a guy. So it's not, as the title suggests, flat, that's an aspect, Earth, that's the ground you're standing on. This guy is explicitly detailing what I was trying to get across to the panel and Discord in the pre-show. He can't recognise what's on the cover of the book as being the contents of the book. Okay, what's my book? The Book of Flat Earth. What's this going to be about, I wonder? Well, as I turn the first page, I obviously already know it's going to be about a guy called Rowbotham. Whoa. You think flat, an aspect, and Earth, ground that we stand on, started with a guy? Yeah? Can you all see coming together what I was trying to get across to you now? I just want some affirmation that my point's valid. Yes, Nathan, you're so ace. Oh, yep. I really needed that today. Thank you.
Samuel Rowbotham. So, it's the 1830s in England, and science is taking off.
Whoa. Clown shoes. What's this on screen? Is this an experiment for the newfangled science that's taking off? How does science take off? Has it got wings? Is it flying? No, science doesn't take off. It's a method. A method of inquiry. So to say it takes off, what, you people liked the idea of putting a method of inquiry into practice in the 1830s, right? Science is really taking off. What a clown. You have no idea what science is. You've put a contraption, that's technology, on screen when talking about science. Clearly demonstrating you don't know what science is.
Rowbotham's book is the equivalent to what we're doing. It's a reaction video sort of thing. It's a reaction book. Because around about this time, we've had the great competitions, the maritime stuff, which is trying to purport the globe. We've got the Haversine, the competition that year was the Haversine. All these things are coming into the sciences, as he's probably describing, in the 1800s. And what we see from Rowbottom and lots of other eminent academics is a rebuttal to this nonsensical proposition that the Earth is a globe. And that's what his book's called. The Earth is not a globe. And he goes on to list why real life observations do not comport with the heliocentric ball Earth model. What Rowbottom does. But fundamentally, he's reacting to a new postulate that's out there and being touted as the truth. And I say him and lots of other intelligent academics do the same and oppose these modern newfangled ideas. That's the opposite as to what he's presenting it to be, that just suddenly in the 1800s, people started thinking it was flat.
Exactly.
Not.
So in opposition to a globe claim, this numpty is suggesting that the start of flat Earth is when a guy called Rowbottom opposes the notions of it being a sphere. Because that, to him, is what a flat earther is. It's not anything to do with flat, an aspect, and Earth, the ground we're standing on. It's a man writing a book about Earth not being a sphere. That's what he thinks it is.
Do these guys forget about when it went the other way? When people just, I'm assuming they just took the Earth as flat and stationary, and then somebody had to figure out that it was actually a globe. They seem to forget that, I think.
Automatic assumptions by way of brainwashing.
Yeah.
You're also forgetting that previously he would have ridiculed Christopher Columbus for thinking the Earth's flat. Yet in his historical narrative, everybody thinks it's a ball up until Rowbottom. He's contradicting his own narrative.
It's poorly researched. Just poor. Yeah. It just bugs me. Since my eldest could talk, I've taught her primary source research. It's the most important thing. That's what I've taught her. So then you come across guys like this, numpties. He's just making it up as he goes along. In his mind, flat Earth starts with a book about how Earth's not a sphere. That's that in his mind. That's what he's saying.
When he should think that flat Earth wasn't started by the thought that it's a sphere, people assumed it was flat, and then somebody, his so-called ancient Greeks, had to figure out from there that it was flat, that it was actually a sphere. These people are so bass backwards, it's ridiculous.
Okay, we've got 100 plus people watching. I'm sure I saw 115 people at one point. If we can get to 150 people watching, we'll do the same as yesterday and we'll extend this live show. So please share the show. Again, as we were discussing in the pre-show, there was a lot that got discussed in today's pre-show. That's how we expand our viewership here. You know, you can't rely on us getting promoted through the algorithm. The only way we get to reach a wider audience is if you, the audience, values it enough to share it with another person. So please share the show. And my encouragement to do so would be that we'll extend the live show beyond an hour if we can get to 150 people. Okay, let's carry on with Kobe.
There are discoveries popping up everywhere, and technology is advancing at a ridiculous rate.
Why did you call it science then? Yeah, technology might be advancing at a fantastic rate, but that's not science, that's technology.
But our friend Sam, he's not a big fan of all of this, and he believes that the Earth is actually flat. So he's...
Why are you showing this then, which is definitely not a flat Earth? So you seem confused. If you're the one editing these slides together, if you're going to suggest that Rowbottom thinks Earth's flat, why are you showing this? This is a bowl.
He sets out to conduct an experiment to prove
that's
it.
The Orlando Ferguson map.
What's the date on the Orlando Ferguson?
1870 something. I'd have to look it up. But that's the Orlando Ferguson square and stationary Earth, as according to the Bible. So it's even got the four corners being having the winds driven by angels.
Right.
So it's more of a religious map, that one, than anything. And as you can see, it appears to be a humpy bowl. So it's a kind of nonsensical, that. I'll check it up.
I think it's Adam. It's something in your background.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
For us.
So he heads down to Old Bedford River in Cambridgeshire.
Old Bedford River? This is a canal, right? Am I mistaken? The Bedford
No,
levels.
it's the Bedford Flats down. Yeah, so it's just, yes.
It's canal, yeah.
Okay.
A 10-kilometre long, relatively straight stretch of water. He proposed that if the Earth was really a globe, we should be able to measure the curve along this stretch of river.
See, this sounds very much like the postulation of a positive claim of Earth being a sphere. You know, you say this guy's a flat earther, but it seems like what we're promoting here from Robotham is him falling victim to what's known as a burden of proof reversal fallacy. So we're going to take his taking a part of the positive and extraordinary claim that Earth is sphere-shaped. This isn't anything to do with the flat Earth claim, though, is it?
It's going to be a black swan in a minute, Nathan. 1893 is the Orlando Ferguson. If he's going to do Robotham, then he's going to suggest that the surface level, the water level of the canal, will create an obstruction of the other posts. So fundamentally, it's a black swan. He's reifying the horizon into the leading edge of the ball in this.
No, he's stupid. He doesn't understand that the mathematics is as is depicted here with the boat inside view. So, in terms of what we're depicting now on screen, this is called an orthographic representation. Now, what does that mean? It means that you're going to see everything with the same feet and inches or meters value ascribable to Earth curve maths. So in this depiction, even though if this was representative at any sort of reasonable scale, what you're looking at is about 5,500, 6,000 miles of the surface of Earth based on the amount of curviness and ball that you've got in this picture with a crazy wavy sea on top of it. Okay, why is the boat enormous? Oh, it's not to scale. Okay, why isn't it to scale? Well, it doesn't need to be. In Earth curve mathematics, where you see both the target and your own head in the image, you'll have the horizon, which is typically a line across your vision from left to right at extremity, actually represented as a single point with both the observer, not represented here, and the target beyond the physical geometric limitation called Earth curve. Now, in reality, when you're looking at things like boats, and as was the case with the Bedford level that he showed a second ago, you don't see the side of your own head when you're looking down, in this case, the Bedford level. You don't see the side of the boat that you're watching disappear into the distance with perspective. What you actually see is things disappearing into the distance with perspective. That's angular size reduction at distance, as opposed to things staying the same feet and inches value and not changing whatsoever. So in this image, this is the Bedford level. Very clear Bedford level, probably taken in the 70s or something. Nevertheless, a very clear Bedford level. Now, if there was a boat on here, we wouldn't be seeing a side profile of the boat, and we wouldn't see the observer, and we wouldn't see the other side of a hill getting in the way. But as soon as this guy's done with the real-world representation of what Robotham apparently did, we cut to a begging the question proof of nothing Muppet vision representation of the side of the boat. Now, was Robotham looking along the side of the boat as it traversed his view from left to right, or was it disappearing into the distance? Oh, it's disappearing into the distance. But in order to make that work with a mathematics that calls perspective Earth curve, they remove all aspects of perspective. That's angular size reduction at distance, aka perspective. I.e., things get smaller as they move away from you. Not in Earth curve maths, they don't. And how do they do it? Well, they ascribe the target a feet or meters value that stays the same at all distances. Therefore, it hasn't changed, does it? Well, it wouldn't, would it? The meters value doesn't change. No, it doesn't, does it? When you're looking at the side of your own head and an Earth curve horizon that's a single point blocking the view of something you can see on the other side of it in side profile. That's how Earth curve maths works. Now, this guy doesn't know that, but he knows that every single representation of Earth curve includes the side vision orthographic view that he's got in this view on screen now.
Stretch of
So
river.
is this a time?
It should curve away
So is
from the
this-
observer 8 inches after 1 mile, then 32 inches after 2 miles, and
Content.
So is this a time for Brian to talk about the infinite over 6R whenever they need to flatten the Earth more just because they see too far?
Maybe. What I know is we're still stuck in Muppet vision. So, have you ever looked at a boat disappearing away from you and seen the side of your own head?
No.
With the horizon represented as a single point between you and a boat that you can still see because it's on the other side of the hill, because you're looking side on to your own head. When does this occur? Oh, it doesn't. It only occurs in Earth curve maths. This is Al-Biruni's derivation of the R value in Muppet vision. Off a mountain he derived H from a flat plane. This is how Earth curve and all claims of a sphere Earth work, where they remove all aspects of perspective, and this is not what Al-Biruni would see, is it? Yeah? Al-Biruni's not going to see himself out in space looking back at himself, looking at a horizon that's represented with a sphere edge and the other side of it and what's beyond it all visible. That's not what you can see if you're Al-Biruni up a mountain, and this is not what you see if you're looking at a boat disappearing from you. You don't see your own head, your own telescope, and the side view of the boat you're seeing disappear. That's just how Earth curve represents perspective in a Muppet view mathematics.
and
This an
so on.
experiment?
He said that, yeah, it's an experiment according to him because he doesn't know what science is. Astro Kobe, who I strongly advise you all share the love of YouTube and go and not subscribe necessarily. Obviously, that's entirely up to you. I wouldn't want to influence you in that way. But go and let him know that we're reacting to him. Say, hey, love your stuff. Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. But yeah, that's going up in the live stream chat now.
Crazy experiments? Is this one of those crazy experiments he's talking about?
It's a pseudoscience experiment if he's claiming it to be such.
Well, ask him for the hypothesis.
Yeah, we'd like the hypothesis for your claim to be experiment. Crazy experiments used to prove a flat Earth. All right, why are we showing Muppet view representations of how you fail to prove that things don't change in angular size with distance when they've gone over about 3,500 miles of Earth curve by scale?
So he jumps.
Experiments can prove shapes.
According to this guy, yes. He's an idiot.
Interesting.
Into the river with his little telescope, and
Canal. Yeah, he didn't see the side of his own head. He didn't see the side of the canal. He didn't see the side of the boat. None of this is representative of how Robotham looked down that canal. Yeah.
This is
Sorry,
this is
Go on, Adam.
misrepresentation as well. At no point does Robotham purport to be a scientist. He is a zeteticist, which has a much lower burden of proof. It's more about logical reasoning and conclusion. All of this stuff is zetetic in reasoning. It's not scientific in validation. So he's misrepresenting like he's coming out with science experiments. Robotham didn't. He came out with zetetic reasoning.
Yeah, your typical baller who hasn't done any primary source research, just spouting nonsense based on his belief in what occurred. Meanwhile, when he puts these
so on
representations up, he doesn't know why he's got this up on screen in side view with his own head and his own telescope, looking at the side of it. Is that how you look down a telescope? You go to the side of it and look at it, and then look at the thing you're supposed to be looking at alongside the telescope. Is this how we do observations? No, we don't. But it is how globe maths works. That's how you manage to ignore all aspects of angular size reduction at distance and call a boat 100 foot at all distances. Yeah, well, that means you can call perspective Earth curve.
This sounds like amateur wiki night again.
This was done
Right?
2 weeks ago.
and watches as a boat with
Nathan.
flags.
Yeah.
Sorry, I tried to get in there before you went back. He's after doing two things here with the audience, saying two things against Robotham that I heard. and they're both little attacks, little personal attacks. He said, "Oh, remember," he said, "there's a technology was taking off at leaps and bounds back then," and he said, "but one man decided to ignore all that." Right? It's like Samuel Rowbotham supposedly ignored all the new technology that was coming out back then because he was a caveman. That was the implication, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And a few minutes ago, there, he just said he went to the canal with his little telescope. What is that about?
Right.
Why does he have to have a little telescope? What's that about?
Yeah, he shouldn't be believing in that technology, should he? He just contradicted himself exactly.
Yeah, and why does his telescope have to be little? Why can't you just say he went there with a telescope?
A
Why does he have to?
You know what they say? Small telescope, small penis.
Standing 1 meter
But by that
above the
standard,
water.
then, I think that's fair. He's trying to ridicule it because I use that same standard when Einstein takes his small telescope, sends it to Africa to get his transit. Just equipment not capable of doing the job. In this case, that's what he's implying, that the equipment is insufficient. Which I really don't grasp why you would try and imply that, because you can either see through it far enough or not. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to see 10 ton further, do you? Only you was able to see as far as the boat's going to the markers. That's the requisite of the equipment's usage, isn't it? It's the bullshit attack, isn't it? Is it
Away
poisoning
from
the
him.
well?
He claimed that he could still see the boat even after the full 10 kilometers, and his calculations were correct. The boat should have been more than 3 meters below the horizon.
No, not should have been. See, that involves you begging the question that Earth has a sphere edge, and that as a consequence of your assumption of a sphere edge, that affects how we should see things, also known as a reification fallacy. The model has a sphere edge inside profile. Therefore, what we should see is the side of our own head and the boat beyond the horizon that's a single point tangent. No, models don't dictate what I see. See, when I open my eyes like Rowbotham did and see a boat in the distance, I go, I can see the boat. There's a boat. Now you say we shouldn't see it because a model says it's not supposed to be there. No, we aren't dictated to by what we can and can't see by models. Yeah? So Rowbotham, you speculate, suggested that we are seeing further than we actually should. Is your pre-assumption that what we should see is automatically a sphere, and simply because Rowbotham has seen beyond what we should see, well, that just means that you've got to correct this so that it's right with what we should see then, right? No, your assumption of what we should or shouldn't see is based on a bloody model, and that model has got the side of your own head in it.
He presumably exclaimed, Eureka!
Nathan, sorry, before you go on, he ruined his own video there because he said, Rowbotham predicted that we should see about 10 kilometers. And he was right. He could. Yeah. And they have...
I heard that.
Globe disproven, right?
I heard that part. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, so you just proved that the guy you were trying to character assassinate was correct. And what was the Globe's response to that? 7/6R. Where'd you get the R? The response to that is standard / terrestrial refraction. That's the response to Rowbotham.
Told you it was going to be a black swan, didn't I? So he's got the horizon, eye on the water at 10 kilometers. Black swan, good night.
Yeah, the horizon's beyond the geometric limitations of a hill claimed to be blocking the boat.
And then wrote a book with his findings called Earth is Not a Globe, under the pseudonym Parallax, which is honestly pretty damn cool. It wasn't until Alfred Russel Wallace, an English surveyor, repeated the experiment.
Come again? On the front page, Zetetic astronomy. Yeah, not science. This is science.
This numpty doesn't know what science is. He's about to describe surveying. He's described Rowbotham as having done an experiment, and now he's claiming that Russell's Russell Wallace, has repeated this experiment. Clown, this is not an experiment. Yeah? When you've depicted it, it's not even an observation. I am not capable of this observation, because what you've described this observation as is somebody looking at a boat. I'm not looking at a boat in this observation. I'm looking at someone looking at a boat in side view. That's what this observation is done mathematically when you claim it's a sphere, with a derivation of an R value that is, let's just get that in here, measured in the same way in Muppet view, side profile orthographic, at the tangent point straight line to the geometric horizon known as Earth curve. That's how we get R. Just so the audience is 100% clear what I've just said, I'm going to repeat it. In order to get the R value for this absolutely god-awful depiction of a hill as opposed to a sphere, but nevertheless, if this is supposed to be a sphere, then the R value it is based on has been measured at a physical tangent point to a hill edge in geometric terms. Now, the tangent point must have a straight line. That's what a tangent is to get R. That's the radius of Earth. Just drop that in now.
Avoiding the errors made by parallax to
Sorry,
prove
Nathan.
that the Earth...
Go on.
Sorry, no, their R value comes from flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris.
I know that.
Earth is actually a globe. He accounted for atmospheric refraction.
Ooh, atmo what now? So under the assumption that if we account for atmo, that's air, spheric, that's a sphere shape. So we're going to account for air being sphere shaped. I see. So what value are we going to attribute to this atmo air sphere shaped oxymoron refraction? That would be R. So what he's saying is the light between the telescope in Muppet Vision, where you see the side of your own head, is going to bend at a rate of R. Atmospheric sphere shaped refraction based on R. Well, that R, as I mentioned only 2 minutes ago, is derived from a tangent point geometric horizon. That's a straight line to the horizon to get the R for the atmospheric refraction. So the moment you bend the line to the boat with R, you've bent the capability of getting the R to bend it with.
And so that's the end of this idea, right?
What idea of a sphere Earth in Muppet Vision, where you claim that everything's the same size at all distances, so you can call perspective Earth curve when you see it in side profile, and then claim that the geometry you derive from a physical sphere edge with a straight line to it, that's a tangent point, is now bent, destroying the geometry in the first place? That's the end of the matter? Definitely not.
No more
Hey,
flat
Nathan.
Earth theory.
Yep.
I must throw something in here, a piece of history that most people aren't aware of.
Good.
And I guarantee you, he won't be aware of it. And if he is, he certainly won't be reporting on it. Samuel Rowbotham debunked what Wallace was saying. What he did, and this is not widely known, what he did was he took his telescope up higher, right, where Wallace had his telescope. And he said that when he looks, what he's going to do is line up his telescope, right, prospectively with the first two markers. And he said, if it's perspective, then all the other markers will line up, right? He said, but if it's out curve, then those markers after the first two will begin to fall away. He went up, he angled his telescope to line it up from a perspective point of view with the first two markers, and it was a straight line all the way to the markers at the very end of the canal, proving that it was optical drop, just perspective, and not out curve.
That's
Now,
the
nobody ever talks about that.
Isn't that the court case bit?
I'm not sure if that's
Yeah,
in the court case.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe it is, because remember Jeranism showing him his writings on it and stuff about it years ago. Isn't it interesting no one talks about it?
What, the bit that's going to be memory hold?
theories,
Well,
it's so obvious that the Earth is a globe. But that's where you're wrong. And you know why? The internet. But before we get into that, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video.
Go ahead, Brian.
Thanks, Aidan. On that topic, my latest video is showing optical drop, which is this very thing that Samuel Rowbotham proved his point with in real life. No demonstrations from me with lasers or anything else. All real world observations, and I used some of the most popular observations within this arena in the past 8 years. And all I'm getting in the comments is hate and attack, not one rebuttal. Because that is what they've been calling out for, centuries possibly. Just that main effect. That's what they hold on to. Anything that appears to go below your central eye line at a distance has to be outcurve. It can't be the effect of perspective with angular size change. So the very thing that Rowbotham proved his point with, that no one wants to talk about, is the very thing they're still attacking without a rebuttal, because they can't rebut it. Thanks.
I mean, I literally went and woke my wife up and told her that the Earth was flat.
That's why, because of my my multimedia background, I knew that all that stuff could be faked. Take it into Photoshop, take it into After Effects.
Just looking at that evidence, they can lie about the moon landings. They can.
I like how true to form, the one person on there saying, yeah, I went and told my wife that there was a group of people with crazy kooky ideas. No, I woke her up and told her Earth is flat. That's the ground we're standing on has an aspect and it's flat. That's what I told her. Just making that clear.
Can certainly lie about pictures and satellites.
I didn't wake her up and say NASA have been lying about photographs and claiming Earth's a sphere. I didn't wake her up and tell her that. Just want to make that clear.
Guarantee you that there is no curvature over distance.
I didn't wake her up and tell her that there was no curvature and that we saw further than we should. I didn't tell her that either. I told her the ground we're standing on's flat.
Did you
falling on
whisper
her hands and
ether
knees
into
around
her
me at the
ears?
moment. What are you doing, Paula? Looking for something very subtle. Does someone want to drop something in while I get through these ads?
I just politely asked, did you whisper ether into her ears at all?
She won't know what that means.
What for her?
As we've entered the age of social media, people are free to post about whatever they want. And as a result, the flat Earth theory has...
The flat Earth theory. So let's start this disclaimer by saying people can talk about what they like and then make flat Earth about the people talking about what they like. I'll just say it again. Earth, that's the ground we stand on, is flat. That's an aspect. It has precisely nothing to do with how freedom of speech works, how people express their views. That's got nothing to do with the geometry of the world we're encountering. Nothing.
Has seen a huge
Look at that graph,
increase.
Nathan. Just look at that graph. If you look at the bottom end, look, is it August 2015? That's when we were free, and you got all your subs from all those kind of search points. Now look at the amount of people searching. If we weren't throttled back, how many subscribers would you have, look, based on those search numbers? Compared to when we were free, right down at the bottom, compared to now. Is it 10, is it six-fold increase in the number of people searching it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially what you're saying is
Hundreds of them
Simon
will
Dan
find
and
it.
Dave McKeegan are eating my lunch.
Yeah, exactly. And all
Yeah,
they're getting
basically.
is that, your Simon Dan's.
Yeah.
We need to sing a
I'll
song
get
about freedom.
ridiculed for sticking my hand out when I literally run out of money and can't continue to have any cash to sustain the physical items that make the show run. Therefore, I'll have to put my hand out for that. Not because I've got mold or about to buy a whole load of new white goods or because there's things breaking around me that are to do with life. No. I'll put my hand out because I need something to make the show run, and I'll get Globers telling me how I'm poor and shaming me for being poor. While Dave McKeegan and Professor Dave and Simon Dan are promoted when they talk total nonsense, contradict the globe claim in the first instance, but they're promoted as the preferred content as the search results go up, as the number of people searching goes up. The amount of people exposed to us goes down.
Hey,
interest.
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Kobayashi, clown shoes, flat Earth theory. No such animal exists. You're just compromising your science acumen. And by the way, just to let you know, there is no globe Earth theory either. Your acumen in science is below 3rd grade general. Sunshine. Okay? What a knucklehead.
From YouTube videos to viral tweets and even a Mr. Beast video. This idea has spread like wildfire.
Again, you seem to have a misapprehension about what the idea of Earth, that's the ground you're standing on, and it being flat, that's an aspect. You seem to think this is whether or not Mr. Beast has made a video, whether or not there's lots of TikTokers or tweeting going on. That's what you think flat Earth, isn't it? That's what you think it is. No, you've got a misapprehension. You can't even comprehend that it's an alternative viewpoint in terms of the nature of reality. This is what you think it is.
And I'll be honest, some of it's genuinely hilarious.
Aspect? Ground. Someone tell me I'm missing something, maybe. Where's the humour in that? What's funny about that? Maybe if I put it in context, we establish a horizontal baseline in order to derive latitude lines so we can create things like globe models. That would require a flat Earth. Ba-dum-tsh. Why aren't you all laughing? Am I missing something? Why aren't you laughing? No, nobody's laughing, my friend. It doesn't seem like you finding the notion that you've misapprehended about flat aspect, Earth, ground we're standing on, actually being tweets and stuff, yet you find tweets hilarious. You're one of those idiots that thinks that Google's a source. Shout out to Godzilla37. Says, this is for the cleanup costs of the crap drooper left all over your chat. Probably not enough, but I hope it helps. Thank you very much indeed, Godzilla, for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
You know what's genuinely hilarious?
What's that?
Mr. Kobayashi here, clown shoes, amateur night. This is the rudimentary. It's remedial retard. He hasn't done anything. Just surface puke.
Absolutely.
Ambiguous surface puke. That's all this is. It's incoherent.
I said that.
Thanks.
I said exactly that before you got here. I was like, from the moment my eldest daughter could talk, I was teaching her the benefits of primary source research. As dumbed down as I could make it from the moment she could comprehend anything. That's what I taught her. Don't take the surface level. How do you know that's true? Well, who told him that? Well, where did they find it out from? That's all I've ever taught her. You come to these clowns with a couple of million views. What's he got? 1.13 million subscribers. And he's appealing to people who think he's talking sense. And he hasn't done a scrap of research. He hasn't got the slightest clue what science is. Doesn't recognise literally what a subject matter means. Flat Earth, you don't know what the words mean, do you? I mean, it's truly embarrassing. Skeptic936 says, in the future, we should make him lick it up before he departs. I've no idea what that's in reference to, but I really appreciate the financial support. Thank you very much indeed, Skeptic936, for the super chat.
And now, with platforms like TikTok, where 15-second clips can be viewed by millions of people every single hour.
Flat, an aspect. Earth, the ground we're standing on. Hello?
This idea, and ones like it, are given more power than they've ever had.
What idea? You won't even say it. You've put up a picture of a stalactite floating in a sky vacuum with a pimple on it. I mean, what the hell is this jellyfish What? You haven't even verbalised what you're putting up on screen. Have I claimed this? What is this? I mean, I don't get it. Are you scared to say it? You've got to recontextualise what flat Earth is into people and then only hint at it by showing it like this.
But hold on, surely they must have some proof that the Earth is flat, right?
Elevation angle measurements were used to derive your globe belief. If Earth wasn't flat, you wouldn't have your globe model, because it's derived from elevation angle measurements to Polaris, and an angle requires a baseline to measure it. In this instance, it's also used today for celestial navigation. There is my proof Earth is navigated and measured flat. It's also my proof that your faith in a globe is derived from angle measurements taken from the flat Earth we stand on.
They must have done some experiments.
Experiments establish cause for naturally occurring phenomena. That is something happening. Now, flat, an aspect, Earth, the ground we're standing on, that's not something happening. That's a concrete noun. You don't know what science is. Therefore, you think you need quote-unquote science for concrete nouns, making you thick.
Oh,
on that note, I mean, just let Kobe know Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, because we obviously love your material. We were responding to it only the other day. Live now, actually, but maybe watching after the fact. If so, go to the live stream chat and check it out. There is a link to Astro Kobe's video. And were he to respond to the fact we take elevation angle measurements to Polaris to derive latitude lines so you can create your sphere model, to then project it back out into flat maps so it works with elevation angle measurements that you measure from the flat plane we are standing on. We've responded to your claim that we don't have any evidence that's scientific, and pointed out that your misapprehension about what science is doesn't include putting through a method of establishment of cause a concrete noun.
They have, and let me just say, they are definitely something.
Oh my god. Flat, an aspect, Earth, the ground we stand on. Anybody care to explain where they fits into that? Because maybe I'm just thick. Maybe I don't understand how flat Earth has got a fucking pronoun.
In Netflix's documentary Behind the Curve, a group of flat
There we go.
formed an experiment that flat earthers have been using since 1836.
Sorry, you saying that other flat earthers have the same level of comprehension of science that you do, and think that measuring stuff is experiments? Yeah, as in the pre-show, I think a lot of people might want to become a member and actually listen to today's pre-show. They're not us. This stereotyped notion of flat, an aspect, Earth, the ground we're standing on, being a group, that we're not them. We're not that group. Okay? Just make that clear.
In an attempt to prove that the Earth isn't a globe. They used two boards, both.
So we're doing an experiment to prove that we've not got a concrete noun of shape. Yeah, exactly.
With a hole 5 meters above water level, a camera and a torch. And by lining up the torch with the holes...
Is this what we saw? Did we ever get to see the side profile aspect? Because you see, when I said that the feet and inches values of globe Earth mathematics won't change with distance, notice how we're now representing this claim to be flat earther, who's doing a quote, an experiment, because the flat earther in question doesn't know what science is. Yeah? They're going to be using feet and inches values that don't change with distance, just like you do in your globe maths. That's interesting.
The light was able to go through both holes. And if the Earth was flat, no matter the distance between the boards...
Go on, Brian.
Yeah, I find it kind of interesting that the very person some years ago, which is journalism, who was able to detail how Samuel Rowbotham proved these points with use of optical drop perspective, is the same fella who knifed us all in the back some years ago on that documentary. Same fella called you a scammer.
Now, I've just detached myself from that group of people. You know, the people that want to turn flat and Earth into a group. Well, they can do it if they want to. I'm not them. So it doesn't. I don't feel stabbed in the back in that regard, and I didn't at the time. Oh right, they say that, do they? They're not me. I'm not them.
Unfortunately, here I've got to defend Kobe. They're prominent flat earthers. It's a Netflix documentary about people we all recognise as flat earthers. They're more popular flat earthers than us, so it's not unreasonable to allow him that is representative of flat Earth. I'm
going to say no. Do you want to know why?
It's not to say he shouldn't be corrected.
Just one sec.
In the
Just before you're too hasty.
it,
Just before you're too hasty. Would you say that we should and do and could and would represent things in a feet and inches value that doesn't change with distance in an orthographic view with a curve beneath it, as he has done with Jaren on the right-hand side and the target or observer on the left inside profile? You say that's a reasonable thing we should allow him to misrepresent us with? Okay.
No, I'm saying it's something that if we're going to add critique to, the only person that should be critiqued for it is Jaren, because it was him that did it with those claims as shown it orthographically there as well back in the day.
Oh, Jaren posted them in orthographic view.
Yeah, they were all, that's how it was all. This is pre-Black Swan. This is pre the understanding that Flat Earth debate worked through to give people clear, concise understanding of perspective hijacking and stuff. So if I'm being totally honest here, I can't fault Kobe for looking at this and, well, he's called it an experiment, to be fair, so I could critique him like that, but I can't really have a go at him for ridiculing what top flat earthers supposedly produced as evidence.
Fine.
It's not like this is our claim.
The light would come through the holes. And so they did it. They turned the light on, but no light seemed to appear on the camera.
I'm not seeing the side of the panels. What's going on? Why is this nothing like his diagram? I don't get it.
And I'll give you one guess as to why. Because the Earth isn't flat. My favorite...
Hold on. That's a baseless assertion unless you explain how that is proven by what you've demonstrated. Because what you did was show an orthographic representation with feet and inches values that didn't change with distance. So there's no accounting for angular size changes at the distances represented in the quote-unquote experiment, which it isn't. So you've got to justify your baseless assertion. Saying somebody failed, therefore, what, the other side of the false dichotomy proves true? No, you've got to actually justify it. Don't rely on his failure to prove your point, unless you can actually back his failure as approving of your point.
My favorite part about
That's what
all
I
of
want
this
to address, Nathan. First of all, I think there's misrepresentation of what went off there. Didn't use torches, use laser lights, and it all failed because the apparatus wasn't stable enough to try and direct a laser light directly perpendicular to the ground is extremely difficult, which is why FE Core went and built a really expensive piece of machinery to create a stable platform to do this on. So when they do the frozen lake test with lasers across the whole lake, that's what they're balancing it on, the salad. Super accurate laser aiming device, yeah? Which means that 1/8 of a millimeter will have a massive impact in terms of parallel when you transfer that out 2-3 miles away. That was the failure of Jaren's demonstration, that his equipment wasn't able to be precise enough. Holding the laser was just an impossibility to try and poke it through 2 holes. So he's not offered up, A, the correct description of the demonstration, and B, the correct critique of why it failed to demonstrate anything. And that's the important thing. He didn't demonstrate a ball. He didn't demonstrate anything. And that's not attacking Jaren. That was Jaren's own admission. You know? Why?
Okay. Well, we're going to continue this. We didn't manage to get quite to 150 people watching, 121 watching currently. So thank you very much to all of you who did smash the share button. Maybe tomorrow we'll get to 150 people watching. You never know. 123. Oh, it is actually rising. But this is going to be where we bid you farewell if you are watching live. So a massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, obviously shared, subscribed, and hit me up hopefully on my GoFundMe campaign, because I am in poverty and I really need new equipment to make my stuff work on this show. So please, please support me on GoFundMe. Smash the link that's hopefully going by in the live stream. If one of the moderators will stick it in, that'd be greatly appreciated. Obviously, another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Stay tuned if you are watching on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering stream, as the critique of Kobe will continue in the after show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Oh, it's flat Earth, so it's ridiculous, not actually proving why, because that has not really yielded the result that they wanted in the past. So just leave arguments out of it. Just call it stupid and leave it.
Very experiment was literally performed by our good friend Parallax in that same gross English river. They have honestly tried everything from laser gyroscopes.
Is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift. We obviously were not willing to accept that, and so we started looking for ways to disprove.
Oh, condemning how terrible it sounds in context. I'm not going to deny it. We tried to disprove it because we didn't like the result. All right. Okie dokie. Meanwhile...
Yeah, but there we go.
Great.
Sorry?
You can't blame him for that, can you? That's out there. That's what he's come across. Doesn't make us look very good, does it?
No, it doesn't. What Adam's saying is we can't blame Astro Kobe for the fact that Bob Nodell has said something so damning to his claim to be experiment.
That it was actually registering the motion of the Earth.
Taking a spirit level on a plane, using telescopes and cameras at the beach, to even using weather balloons. And yet the results
Nathan.
are always...
I would suggest you just shout my name through the top of this video.
Brian's trying to get a word in.
I know. I had to mute his line eventually. I'm playing the video.
Well, I thought you wanted back and forth.
I do, but I do need to
am I
actually
on the
play
panel
more
or
than
not?
5
What's
seconds
the
of
point?
the video at some stage.
No, because Nathan knows what they're going to say, and it's going to be against Bob Nodell and Geronism and them.
That's
why,
not true.
Nathan.
Check
No, I'm not
check
stupid.
out Brian divining my motivation. Not true at
No,
all.
I'm not stupid.
To be fair, that's what I thought.
Let me get over that. No, Brian, if you have something to say, would you like me to play it again? No worries. If you want, Brian, you go ahead. The floor's all yours.
Bob Nodell, right, and Jerome Campanella, and anyone else who, well, let's just stick with those two. They knifed us directly in the back in 2018. There's no point in denying it. That guy there can take that footage and that audio, just like any, and those that information from that, just like any other person in the world, and make a video and make us look totally stupid. They did that to us. I'm not going to deny it, and I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to be stuck on that forever. I will never let this go.
So,
unfortunately, Brian, the consequence of that is that when we now engage with people, and if they bring that up, we unfortunately have to make Bob and Jaron look stupid with it to defend it, not to defend the way Bob decided. I've got to go and find why this is wrong. Yeah. First, we've got to point out it's not an experiment. Yeah. And secondly, Nathan gave him the get out on there. You know. Also, the Earth's rotating now. Lovely. But unfortunately, the way we have to defend it now is just to point out how incorrect our own side was wrong. And, you know, their response was also wholly wrong. Their understanding of what an experiment was wrong. And the implications of that supposed experiment they're citing, if it did, fundamentally says we've got 2 reference frames, which I'm happy to take.
Well, when Nathan went on Bob's show to talk to him about what true science is, and be careful how you frame that word, and when you do tests and you call it science, Bob didn't like it. Next thing you know, 2 bloopers come out. So I think what that day did was divide whatever commonality there was, because we said to them, don't do this. This is not the way to go. This is not an experiment. Why are you calling it that? And because of pride and his little things he wanted to get done, wouldn't let go of it, wouldn't learn. Look what we have here. So I think if anything, we can go back to that date and said we separated ourselves way before he brought these things.
My point being is your average normie doesn't give a shit that we've separated ourselves. One of the biggest flat earth channels saying that they've done an experiment that proved the earth rotates. That's enough for people to walk away, isn't it?
The normie who comes across them will have to also apply that to themselves on other matters in their life, where their opinion is on one group and the rest of the world would say, yeah, well, we're walking away from your opinion because this guy said this. So it's not too hard to overcome. They misspoke. It's not an experiment. We came to them, and this is what you get for being dumb.
It's the same. They show that the Earth is a globe, or there's an issue with their experiment that physics can explain. But wait, I keep saying that we have known for thousands of years that the Earth is a globe, but how is that really possible?
Excellent. So while I said it was a baseless assertion, great, seems like we're going to cover it now.
Seems like he didn't even remotely give any kind of argument there. I mean, this is getting so vague, it's barely even worth calling it a rumor at this point.
No, he said we've got pictures from space, and the flat earthers would say the physics is wrong or those experiments are wrong. Okay, don't have any pictures or video from space, because if the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill that availability of volume in line with entropic law. Not science. There are no experiments to show that Earth is a shape, because that's a concrete noun. You're not sciencing cause and effect or establishing reasoning as such if you're looking at how things are as a shape. That's not science. But he's saying we reject the science of the images from space. That was his last argument.
I would agree with Arwin. It has to remain vague, right? Because any specificity actually destroys the quote unquote model.
Right, but not just a little vague on the details, but just even complete concealment on what is actually being discussed. It's just like, no, the arguments, right? This is getting really meta.
Yeah, tactics. Tactics,
having a conversation about the
fallacies.
conversation, but they don't know what the conversation is about.
So you see how he brought in thousands of years we've known the Earth is not flat. It's a globe. Well, who? What group of people? The Western philosophers, the Greeks, in their little halls discussing it, but never proving it, never measuring it. Eventually, it becomes reality. And then we ask for them, how'd you measure it? Well, we have R. Well, how'd you get R? Well, we did a tangent line. Well, how could you if it's refract? I mean, it just keeps going in circles and circles and circles. No, we didn't believe the Earth was flat, a globe for thousands of years. A small group of people did, and they were so influential with thought because they were civilized and invented other things that it finally became our reality, a false reality.
We only started launching satellites like 60 years ago, and that's the beauty of it. It's not really that hard to tell that the Earth can't be flat.
Okay, so his postulate.
No.
So it's postulated that we've launched satellites. No, because that would involve traversing gas pressure and putting tin cans in orbit in a sky vacuum. Well, if you can have things falling around a sphere Earth beyond the gas pressure that we're experiencing, then the gas pressure is violating the second law of thermodynamics and not expanding into availability of volume it has. That would be out of space. So no, your notions of having satellites are debunked by the second law of thermodynamics.
There
And
seems to be
balloons. And balloons.
Well, I don't need to. No, got to be careful. I'm not going to now turn around and say what they've said are satellites are the balloons, because the fact that balloons exist is self-evident now to the general public, when it was self-evident to me when they were claiming satellites 5 years ago. Now, the notions of what they say are in space, that's satellites, is false. Full stop. What's that? I've got to offer something else. No, that's the end of that statement. What's that? What about the balloons? What about them? Does that raise questions for you, member of the general public? Maybe it raises the question, why do we need balloons if we've got satellites? I already knew satellites weren't in space. Okay, we've got balloons. That's fascinating.
No, I'm changing the subject because Neil deGrasse Tyson came out with a video saying, trying to answer this little quandary they're in. And he says this is the low-cost way of doing it. And he names, like he has a number. He knows how many a day are launched. My goodness, how did he get that number? How does he know what every country does? I mean, we will critique that video soon.
A huge 200-foot diameter balloon. That's 2/3 the width of a football field. It's a big-ass balloon up at 60, 70,000 feet, well above the civil aviation flying zone.
Yeah, we'll cover that another day.
Be a bit of a common misconception that Christopher Columbus discovered the shape of the Earth. But in reality, we had known that the Earth was a sphere for centuries before he was around.
That's the third time he's made this. That's 3 baseless
Wow.
assertions so far.
The famous Greek philosopher Aristotle argued that the Earth...
Sorry, you started off about 6.5 minutes ago saying that it was proved. Now you're saying that he argued? Hold on, these are very different words. Scumbag. What a shyster. So I thought you were going to... What, did you think by leaving 6 minutes between saying that they proved it and you bringing up the actual subject about how he argued for it, did you not think we'd notice?
Wait. Was Aristotle around the same time that Columbus was? Like, is this guy like some type of time traveler? He just keeps going back. First, it was the 300 years BC, and then it was Eratosthenes, and now it's Aristotle, and then Columbus, and then back to Aristotle. Is this guy out of his mind?
No, well, in his time-travelling machine, in each of those timelines, Rowbotham came along and wrote a book about how Earth isn't a sphere, therefore that's when Flat Earth was created.
Oh, yeah.
Must be a
Flat
sphere
Earth was...
based on...
Go on.
No, I was just saying, Flat Earth was created, even though it had to be flat for them to figure out that it was a sphere. I like how Flat Earth was created by a guy, as opposed to just being objectively flat, stationary. It's great.
His observations of the stars.
Whoa. Observations of the stars? Let me get it straight. This has gone from proof to him arguing to him observing the stars. Let me just try it one more time for this Dumbo. AstroKobi. Let's try this one more time. Flat an aspect Earth. That's the stuff we're standing on. Yeah, the ground. So we're going to prove Earth's a sphere with arguing about observations of the stars. Do you see the little disconnect we've got going on here there, AstroKobi? Maybe not.
He assumed that every star was...
Why were you making assumptions? So, I thought he was proving something. So the very first thing in terms of the details of what he's doing, not with the ground, the flat Earth, but with the stars, is he's making assumptions about him right out the gate. Really? This is not proof, you utter clown. Did you take this as proof as you read that he assumed stuff about the stars?
the same distance from Earth, and
Oh, really? He assumes something that's now not current rhetoric. What a great start.
they appear to be moving in a circular pattern around the planet. And then along came Eratosthenes of Cyrene. Awesome name, I know.
So where was the proof of globe-shaped Earth in that statement? Did anybody miss it? Did I not catch it?
No, I was
No, no,
listening
no.
for it. I didn't hear it.
The proof is Aristophanes, and they know he actually lived because the one that wrote a book about him wrote the book about him before he was born.
No, what we got
Officially.
from him was argued about stars and how they moved.
It's about to change because if he's going to go to Eratosthenes, now they're going to get angle measurements to the stars.
Oh, well, that should be interesting. You'll need a flat Earth for those angles.
He was a geographer and a poet, and he set out to measure the circumference of the Earth.
How does he know it's got a circumference? Is he assuming automatically, aka begging the question, a fallacy in logic, that it's a globe before he starts measuring it? Surely you'd have to have some reference to it being a sphere before you went about measuring it as a sphere. That's called begging the question. It's a fallacy.
Proving it was a globe.
Oh, that was the proof! So I identify a flaw in logic, aka begging the question, which is to say that as he sets about measuring a circumference of something, when he's not determined that is actually the case, it's automatically assuming the outcome he's trying to prove. That's a begging the question fallacy. Not according to Astro Kobe. According to Astro Kobe, that's proving Earth was a globe. No, you don't understand logic. That's called begging the question. That's not proving it's a globe. It's assuming the outcome. You clown. Give him 1 million subscribers.
So he devised an experiment.
Oh, I see. So he begged the question of Earth having a circumference and then set about measuring it, and then he derived an experiment. I see. That's the order of things, is it? Beg the question, then make an experiment? What a dick! Now, if you had the slightest idea what science was, you'd appreciate that first you observe a natural phenomena. Deciding that you're going to measure the circumference of something isn't observing a phenomena. After you observe a phenomena, you formulate a hypothesis that supposes the cause of the effect you've observed, and incorporated within has a null, that's the antithesis, aka what you assume causes the effect you observe won't cause the effect you've observed. Those two run along parallel, aka alternative if A causes B, and null, A won't cause B, so that you can vary A and see if it causes B in an experiment. But according to you, assume something's got a circumference and then derive experiment.
He figured that if he could compare...
He figured it, did he? That sounds like maths.
...the position of the sun's rays in two locations, he would be able to calculate the spherical size of the Earth.
Is that so? See, straight away there's a bit of a problem. Because according to what he actually did, he measured angles. So if his assumption of a spherical Earth is true, his methodology will fail. Because he won't be able to measure angles. So it seems you've sort of sailed straight past the flaw in this logic, given that you're going to be deriving things from elevation angle measurements. That's measurements from a flat baseline. How can you have a spherical Earth if you're going to use angles to claim it?
He had heard a rumour that there's a well in the Egyptian city of Syene, and at midday on the summer solstice each year, the sun's rays shone down directly into the well, illuminating just the water at the bottom, not the walls of the well. And so when the summer solstice came around, Eratosthenes built a pole in Alexandria, and he observed that it cast a shadow, proving that the sun was not directly...
So on this diagram, Astro Kobe, let's give you a little education in what an angle is. 7.2 degrees according to this angle. Oh, really? So you will require a baseline for this assertion then. And in order for the distance measurement to calculate between the two zeniths, you'll need a flat Earth to calculate it. So this whole process utilizes, nay, requires a flat baseline. That would be to say that Earth must be flat for you to derive these angles. Are you idiotic?
Nathan.
He distinguishes the different longitudes between Alexandria and Siam. And I'll ask Brian, where does he get that longitude from?
The latitude and longitude grid.
Hold on, John. Go ahead, Brian.
The latitude and longitude grid is derived from flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris.
Well, that's a bugger, isn't it, for him?
Yeah, John.
So he's going to use a flat Earth grid to place the two cities, and the difference between the two cities he's going to use to form a globe on his flat Earth grid system.
That's correct.
Yeah.
He's using longitude lines that were derived from elevation angle measurements to Polaris off a flat Earth, because you can only get elevation angle, that's two straight lines meeting at a vertex, measurements from a flat Earth to derive this grid system. So he can then claim that what is measured in terms of the stick and shadow and the angle is actually working off a baseline that's curved. Then you won't get any angles. He's an idiot.
I'd like to go after John.
Sorry.
Go ahead, John.
One very quickly. I'll be quick. For their assertion to be true, the adjacent line of all angles must be curved, and perspective cannot exist.
Indeed. Go ahead, John, and then 10th.
I was going to say it a little while ago. I just got my microphone working. When they were going through Earth curve, did he point out that it was below surface level in any of that?
He's not pointed anything out in any of this, other than that the Greeks thought it. That's about as good as it's got. There's been no substance.
So he doesn't even know where Earth curve comes from, does he?
I don't think he knows where he comes from, mate.
Nathan, if you can go to Master D, we'll find out exactly what begging the question fallacy is and looks like. Are you
Hello
there?
out there.
What happened?
There's a moment of silence for his belief.
I thought you were making a point.
Well, I was waiting for him to
being
post
quiet.
a picture.
So did I.
I thought I lost all connection.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay, well, Master D, there's a screenshot, and it's talking about Eratosthenes. So I'm assuming you're showing it now. So with this information, he measured the circumference of the Earth without leaving Egypt by assuming the Earth was a sphere and that sun rays are parallel when they arrive to Earth. So he already had in his mind that the shadow and the angle in Alexandria was due to Earth curving, not the angle of the sun to the pole.
Well, at least he didn't use sticks.
Was instead,
I mean,
slightly.
No, he did. You just didn't see it.
He said Eratosthenes built a pole. Well, at least he got half of it right up in Syene with the well. He didn't build any pole, you numpty dipshit. Oh, sorry. Is this a no swearing part?
Yeah.
Well, whether it's a stick or a stick that looks like a pole, he needed something vertical and needed to measure a shadow, which is an angle elevation. It's like,
We did agree that shit is not a swear word.
Okay. Thank you, Neil from the FDA.
South. Using the distance between the two cities, Eratosthenes was able to calculate using trigonometry.
Oh, yeah. He used trig off a curve, did he? No, he didn't.
Did this guy add any Neil deGrasse Tyson quotes in this video? I've heard Neil's voice, but was that him who added his voice in here?
Which is
at
basically
any point?
sea level up to about 45,000 feet. Well up.
The circumference of the Earth He measured the angle of the sun's rays.
I love it when they put a diagram with a curved surface and a line meeting a curve and say, he measured an angle. Did he? Did they not teach you what an angle is?
We can't see it, Nathan, so it's lost on us.
Okay. Can you imagine a quarter of the Earth as a sphere?
Never.
Can you imagine it for it being on a diagram that you can't see that I'm trying to describe to you?
Never.
Please, can you try now? Can someone else respond other than QE? Can you imagine a quarter of the ball being on screen and then two lines meeting it? Yeah? And he's representing the two lines as being the well and the stick. Right?
Yes.
And on the line meeting the curve, he's got 7.2 degrees written on it. So this, according to him, this is an angle. So
really,
curve line meets straight line. This is vertex.
I think Kobayashi Clown Shoes Amateur Night needs to go back. Now this is no. We already covered third grade general science. Now he has to go back to third grade geometry. Thanks.
Off the pole to be 7.2 degrees, and he knew that the circumference of the Earth could be represented by a circle, 360 degrees. So using a value of 5,000 stadia, which translates to about 800 kilometers for the distance between the two cities, he found the circumference of the Earth. 200.
Whoa! How do you know that? How do you know the distance between the two cities? I know I'm just majoring on the minors, but point of order, Your Honor.
Measuring tape. Duh.
Elevation angle.
How did he know it was?
Well, Brian's got the right answer. He derived it earlier from. He was talking about latitude lines, wasn't he?
Yeah, elevation angle. It requires a horizontal baseline, and you measure the distance based off of minutes and seconds of degree.
Huh?
Along the sky. That's what you do. You turn them into nautical miles.
So you're saying Eratosthenes did it backwards? He went from the angle?
Yeah, that's what a stadia is.
Yeah, he started off with a flat plane.
There was no need for him to have sticks in the ground if he'd already designated longitude and latitude on a sphere, which is what he's done. And he's already derived the distance between the two cities through that system. Then all he's got to do is extrapolate the angle to Polaris, and he could have got it that way. He didn't need it without moving between the cities.
Can we not do Kobe's homework for him? Thank you.
I know.
50,000 stadia, or about 40,000 kilometers. His calculations were less than 2% of the Earth's actual value.
Oh, really? Where'd you get that?
Oh.
Where'd you get that for it to be within 2% of it?
Flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris.
What's that, Brian?
Flat Earth elevation angles to Polaris. That's where he got it from.
Oh, right,
that's what they had to refer to.
I see. So if you derive a sphere with the minimum elevation angle measurement to Polaris making up your equator, you can then say that that's the actual outside edge of a sphere-shaped concrete noun that you're going to science. And that's the actual value when you compare it to this requirement for a flat Earth with elevation angle measurements also. How fascinating.
Nathan, question. Did this guy at any point have quotes from Neil deGrasse in this video?
No.
Did I hear him? No. Oh, okay.
No.
Because I'm wondering if
somebody called for.
I thought we already been over this.
Yeah, we did. But what you did was you talked about him having Neil deGrasse Tyson's quotes about the balloons being in there, and just by chance we were going to cover that exact video of Neil deGrasse Tyson. What would you say? Doing damage control. I just didn't know where to line it up, so I just played a bit at random.
Oh, okay. My bad. Because I was thinking if he was just going to play random clips of Neil deGrasse in the middle of his nonsensical video, maybe he'd want to play the one where Neil deGrasse describes how Eratosthenes could have had a flat Earth with his little so-called experiment with a smaller local sun. And yeah, why don't you play that? But if it wasn't him, that's okay.
I mean, on screen flashing by as you guys have got in the. Oh no, it's Bill now. Oh well. We did have elevation angle measurements and how they're done, obviously requiring a flat baseline flashing up on screen though, which is just as useful.
We can measure today. Pretty impressive given he really just used a stick.
And a flat earth.
Oh, he's on sticks.
Other than
this
famous...
the advancement of technology, as we talk about how Guy had sticks in the ground. Wow, archaic, huh?
What happened to the well?
How many times have we heard that, though, if you think about it? That was one of the big things right in the beginning. Sticks and shadows and wells.
It's a gnomon on the sundial. What's the big deal?
What happened? I want to know what happened to the well from Kobayashi Clown Shoes Amateur Night.
The well dried up.
Experiment and the stars. It's really not that hard to come to a conclusion.
Experiments and the stars? What the hell?
The guy, let's just take it as read from this point forward. The guy's a clown that doesn't know what science is, so he's going to constantly refer to things like experiments with stars. He thinks he's establishing causes of stars. Okay, you're a Dumbo.
It's painful.
It is painful. He's thick. Give him 1 million views and give him 1 million subscribers.
Is a sphere. Our lunar eclipses look like this, but if the Earth was flat...
You just showed a red eclipse. That's what he just showed. Sorry.
That's it?
I mean, I've seen a lunar eclipse, right? It's not a shadow. This assumption that it's a shadow is absolute nonsense. That's not what it looks like. Right? But what he's juxtaposed that with is he's done that thing where they put a flat pizza pie shadow across like as a bar on the moon. That's what he's done. It's so crap.
Isn't it kind of like space? Like what's the main characteristic of a space? What's black. That? Oh, it's black. It's kind of like a shadow. What's the main characteristic of a shadow?
Black.
It's black.
Oh, what color does the moon turn during a lunar eclipse?
Black. No, red.
Yeah, there you go.
They should look like this.
So if we assume that there's a pizza pie in an orbital motion in line with Kepler's assumptions, then the pizza pie will project a flat shadow if it's orientated with the sun behind the pizza pie to give a disk edge shadow on the moon. Number one. This is a heliocentric, sun at center, orbital motion for a pizza pie that literally nobody is claiming. So this is the most convoluted strawman gaggle screw I've ever heard, and it's not even his. He's not the originator of this god-awful argument. He's just nicked it. Because not only is he a crap researcher, he's also a plagiarist. Because this isn't your argument. You haven't thought of this crap argument where you put a pizza pie into an orbital motion in line with Kepler's heliocentric world that you think a globe is a part of. Nobody's claiming this, Dumbo. Why have you mashed up your heliocentric world with a pizza pie reification that nobody's claiming? Oh, because someone else did it. Yeah, we know.
Every other planet appears to be a sphere too.
Appears? What, like, not actual? Like, apparent? Yeah, that may be the case, but if you're in the forest and you look around at all the trees, do you go, I must be a tree? No, you don't. Further to that, what have you got in terms of binocular vision to establish that these things are actually spherical?
Exactly. Thank you.
And so what if they were? What if that mixed up?
Stick on that point. Stick on that point, Nathan.
Well, you've got a telescope to look at it. If they're even claiming anything like the distances, then you need to have two different points to reference it to be able to get three-dimensionality to claim sphericity. They haven't got that.
Yep.
And
not
we can
seeing
see
3 dimensions celestially. There's sunshine. Friggin' amateur night, clown shoes, Kobayashi. This is below second grade.
boats disappearing over the horizon.
Sorry.
What?
Boats disappearing over a what? Physical geometric sphere edge? Hill getting in the way? Weren't you earlier claiming that refraction was the effect that we observed at the horizon? I'm pretty sure it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Did he not say that this is refraction?
He said it was refraction. I heard him.
Wasn't he doing that as he was reversing the burden of proof and strawmanning Robotham? Wasn't that his whole thing?
Yeah.
What the hell?
It does seem very much like he's gone from claiming that the horizon's refraction to now claiming the horizon is a hill getting in the way of this boat. Really?
So, so he's saying both fall over the sphere? They got an edge, huh?
Yeah, he's saying boats falling over this sphere edge. Yeah, that's what he's saying. Yeah, he thinks boats fall over edges.
What Nathan's saying is there's a continuity error.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's saying boats falling over Bedford level.
No, he's saying Robotham was wrong because according to the globe...
You all have it wrong. He's saying that boats don't fall over Bedford level curve. They only fall over other ones when it's empty.
That's my point. He's got oh my gosh. This is that whole Bedford level and him saying the horizon is where Earth curve is. Those two just destroy this whole video of his.
No, what he's actually saying, the boat's going over refraction.
Well, that
it's
too.
just Bedford's just locally flat.
I'm not worried about Bedford. He just claimed there's a continuity error, as Nathan pointed out. So essentially, he's saying, I'm talking about Kobayashi clown shoes, is that boats are going over refraction.
Sounds like short distance, high energy problems.
Well, I was about to go there, but then I thought about it's below surface level, so it could, in his delusion, they could be going over whatever below surface level.
So Nathan, was I on point with that or what?
Yes, absolutely. What I'm saying is earlier he claimed that what's going on at Bedford level? Well, the claim of Earth curve in Muppet vision with a geometric limitation to your view laid out in the maths is being challenged by Robotham. And when he shows that to be incorrect, proving his point, the rebuttal from the globe side is, no. What we're seeing here is refraction. We're seeing further than we should because the light's being bent. Okie dokie. So we're not seeing a physical hill in the way. Light is being refracted to bend the light so we don't see a hill in the way. That's the response to Robotham. Okie dokie. Scroll forward 10 minutes. This boat's blocked by an Earth curve edge horizon. Oh right. So it's not blocked by refraction then, as was the overcome for Robotham. That's a continuity error, as QE puts it. Which one is it? Is the boat falling over the edge of Earth, or is this refraction? Which is it? He doesn't seem to know which one it is.
Well, to the globe side, it would be both, because they just use it whichever is needed, at whatever time it's needed.
That's true, but we're hounding on the continuity error or the paradox here.
Of course.
They're claiming that boats are sailing over a refracted horizon, which I don't know how long in my comments.
But maybe we can get
my videos, all the comments. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can get a response from him in that regard. Sorry, John, go ahead.
I was going to say, is the paradox in Narnia as important as proving Narnia doesn't exist?
Huh?
No, I see where you're going.
In his Earth curve calculator, where he's going to claim that they're going over a physical geometric edge below surface level, he's then going to turn around and refract it below surface level to claim it's going over refraction below surface level.
Yeah, John's saying first we need to prove that there's a physical limitation or refraction below surface level as depicted in their model. Neither is true. It's only taking place below surface level, which is aka to his description of it being in Narnia land. Do we argue about how we've got refraction or Earth curve below surface level in geometry of Narnia, or do we worry about whether or not we've got Narnia, is John's point, I believe.
Oh, we could deal with that later. We'll just kill him right now with the paradox, with the continuity error.
So let's just do that. We'll ask him. Paradoxically speaking, you've got both boats that go to the edge of the Earth on a canal, not river, being lifted up because the light's being bent. Therefore, there isn't an edge to represent where the boat was on the canal. That's refraction according to you. Okay, right. Now you're saying this boat is physically blocked by a limitation at the horizon. That's Earth curve. Physical geometry, Earth curve edge for the boat to fall over and be blocked by. Which is it? Is the boat going over an Earth curve edge, or is this refraction? Because it can't be both, blocked by a physical limitation hill and refracted up because the whole light's bent. Can't be both. It's a paradox.
You hear that, Kobayashi clown shoes? Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not done yet. Did you hear that? Yeah? You hear that sound? That's the sound of inevitability. You paradoxical fucking nightmare, you. Next!
Right. So, yeah, the paradox, again, Arwinian paradox, it only really lies in the being able to prove what it is, right? And they claim that they've measured the horizon in order to get the radius value that they then used in terrestrial refraction. That's their problem. The problem is their roots, their origin. There isn't any, and they can't because it's a paradox. But if you believe in terrestrial refraction, then to be honest, one day, yeah, it's behind the hill. The other day, yeah, then, well, terrestrial refraction is more pronounced and it's not behind that hill anymore. That's how they think.
What if it's beyond its limitation per the globe math of a radius of 3959? Then what?
Well, then it's refracted.
Therefore, not
No.
geometric. Therefore, you can't derive an R to refract it with, aka use what he'd used, which is atmospheric refraction, sphere-shaped air refraction, based on an R value. Well, if you've bent the horizon, you haven't got a tangent to it to get R. It's just that simple.
Therefore, game over.
I know that. I'm just trying to lay down, like, to them, it's not an obstruction. It's just, no, one time it's refracted, the other time it isn't. They don't see that origin problem of how did you
They're
get
seeing
the
it now.
Yeah, we're telling them.
But that's why they have to
They're
start
probably
claiming
not going to
Eratosthenes.
understand when you do, though. They'll just
That's
ignore
why they had to. Sorry, that's why they have to start claiming what Eratosthenes did. His demonstration was somehow proven Earth curve, because they could never measure their claims geometrically in reality. That's why they always have to have at least 7/6 or 7/6 of a radius of their standard refraction at it. And it's always 7 over or greater, mostly greater than, most of the time, greater than 7/6. But it's never less than 7/6. Because geometrically, you cannot, right, view what they are claiming to be reality. Geometrically, you will never view the globe. That's the problem. So they have to hijack flat Earth elevation angles that were a flat Earth elevation angle that was performed by Eratosthenes. They have to hijack that, because that way they took the measurement away from their curve. Because you can't, you never see in any observation, you can go to any observation presented by them or us in the past 8 years, there won't be one of them that involves a globe where there wasn't the need for the added of as much over 6R as possible. Not one, because the world does not present itself like they need it to. So they don't have any geometric, they can't have any geometric, within their own claim, they can't have a geometric measurement because it always has to be refracted. So it's impossible for them to claim Eratosthenes, because that is supposed to be a geometric measurement.
When they don't understand what refraction is.
Yeah, and they're using a flat Earth elevation angle.
Don't you need a radius?
Yeah, all that.
The observations that caused Aristotle to suppose the Earth wasn't flat. Ultimately, I'm not really sure that this flat Earth belief is entirely genuine.
That's because you've misrepresented what people believe in when we describe flat, an aspect, and the ground. That's Earth. Yeah, that's not a belief. You're in a category error.
I mean,
and he's
it's clear.
projecting because he's presenting the nonsense straw man model. Oh, I don't think this is entirely worthy. Like, oh, no shit, Sherlock.
That these people have a distrust in governments, the education system, and science.
Anybody here, did we mention any of those things so far?
Oh, there it is. There it is again. The flat earthers have a lack of trust. Where did I hear that again? Oh, an article by space.com that's called How to Debate a Flat Earther. Curious.
That's a fear-based response from him, though, because those are the people he would assume were lying to him if the statement were true.
Ah,
So it's
well
his
caught.
fear.
Yeah, yeah. Like conspiracy cats. Yeah, it's projection of his own apprehension and fears of who would be at fault if this was true. So if this is true, then the education system and government have lied to me, is what's going through his mind. Therefore, he has to project the antithesis of that onto us.
Exactly. And that's why I always bring up that articles, because when I read that nonsense, it drove me nuts. Like, really? It's about
Hey,
trust?
Chocolate.
Nah.
Hey, Chocolate, Elijah, Chocolate. You know what? Heliocentric proponents, you know what they do? You know that term capping? That's all they do. They just cap all day. That's
All day.
Cap, all day long. If you, they just, and Nathan, you know what capping is. That's like,
You say
just
FAP? F-A-P?
wolf tickets. Yeah, wolf tickets. It's like
cap.
just, yeah,
Cap,
capping. It's a term. It's a social media term.
Oh,
It
tap,
means you
tap,
talking out your face.
T-A-P. T, not FAP.
CAP.
Okay, fine.
CAP.
No.
CAP, like
not,
a cap of a
no,
bottle.
not FAP. Cap.
Okay.
That's
C-A-P.
cap. Yeah, that means, yeah, zero receipts. No receipts, talking all this stuff, and no receipts to prove it. That's the heliocentric argument. Caps. That's all day.
FAP, FAP, FAP.
Capping your ass.
Crap. Like the cap of a bottle.
The deliberate mistake didn't matter. Just let it slide.
Yeah, that's how you
Dude,
spell
you
it.
should
That's
have
how
that
you
again.
spell it, Brian.
But that's the beauty of science.
Oh, right. Let's hear that again. It was a bit rumpused. We'll have to get that in
Science
context.
is beautiful now.
Governments, the education system, and science as a whole. And maybe that's for good reason. But that's the beauty of science. Science can help to remove personal bias and get to the truth using observations and experiments.
What? This is like a religious preach. Even the
Is this true?
music. Like, this is religion, what he's doing right now.
I got to ask QE, is that true?
No, it's not bad. It's not bad. So let's just read it again. Science can help remove personal bias and get to the truth using observations and experiments. That's not bad. That's not a bad statement. Anybody want to pull that apart in any way? Feel free.
Experiment?
A personal bias in terms of what I think makes water boil can be removed by observing a change in that state by way of an experiment. And that implies, although he doesn't know it, that you've got a hypothesis. So, as a statement in isolation, what's on screen now in subtitles, that's not a terrible statement.
No, it's absolutely
yeah, but
correct.
He means globe belief, though. He doesn't.
No, it's absolutely correct. But he hasn't demonstrated any of it in this video.
Correct. So it's just stealing valor. That's where I was going, finally. Yes, Kiwi, we're of like mind today.
But it's easy to take knowledge for granted. Fields of science and technology are so complex and extravagant in 2023.
Au contraire, science is a method. It's incredibly simple. Observe natural phenomena. Assume that you can cause the effect with something that you have, and then vary that which you assume caused the effect to see if it causes it. That would be observation of natural phenomena, formulation of hypothesis, and actualization of hypothesis, aka experiment. That's the scientific method. That's not complex. It's not extravagant
I
either.
just need to add, your cause needs to be natural too. Can't just be something you make up.
He's a Hassenpfeffer dweeb. What he's actually saying, he's trying by mere innuendo, because technology and science are so complex and so wonderful and so beautiful, is because the Earth is a sphere because we have eyeglasses.
Yeah. The complexity of science in 2023. Meanwhile, he spent half the video talking about somebody 2,000 years ago putting sticks in the ground.
Yeah,
Way to go.
exactly. It's archaic.
That it's
And measuring a
borderline
flat Earth.
And measuring a flat Earth, Brian, yeah.
impossible to understand for the everyday person. So
Like
maybe
you.
It's impossible for us to understand more than this numpty idiot with zero primary source research for any claim he's made. Yeah, it's impossible, isn't it, mate? It's just beyond comprehension,
it's not
really.
only primary source research. He's got nothing. It's superficial nonsense. He pulled this together about videos he's watched on YouTube or something. It's at best incoherent.
Is it fair to considering that? Oh, sorry.
And look, it's about this time D-Rose pops up and says, by the way, I'm going to make a comment and hope that somebody mentions that it was actually his video suggestion and it's ace and it's developed a great response. Go ahead, D-Rose.
No. I just like to hear silence, like a pause, and try to get in there. Is it possible? Is it fair to consider that, being that it has been known that what Eratosthenes did could be done on a flat plane as well, and he did it on a flat plane in order to do it? That maybe he's rolling. Yeah, maybe he's rolling in his grave because maybe someone has plagiarized or embellished exactly what he was doing, and he didn't really even. He maybe wasn't even a pro-heliocentric. He was just somebody trying to find the truth, and then some old, plagiarizers took it for their own cause of this heliocentric religion and warped it and perverted it, and now they're propagating it.
That's a nice thought, like with Newton, but it's not true because it's very unlikely that Eratosthenes actually existed. The historical proof for his existence has been derived from a historian that wrote about him 30 years before he was born. So
Okay. See, thank you. I like that.
Aren't stupid.
I like the plug those things.
I'd like to correct QE on something. That is incorrect.
Easy now.
What's incorrect?
That's incorrect. That guy did present something. He presented flat Earth proof with Eratosthenes.
Who did?
Kobe.
The guy you said didn't present anything.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You say Brian's saying he did present something. He presented flat Earth proof.
Okay.
Now, what happened was after QE spoke.
Hold on, Chocolate. Just let Brian clarify what he's saying. Go ahead, Brian.
What QE said something. He said, after he presented nothing in this video, and I tried to get in to say what he did. He presented flat Earth proof. He did present something, but I didn't get a chance to say it because D Rose came in the middle of it.
Oh, I'm sure.
So
I'm sure he's been presenting a lot of things during this video, Brian. I probably didn't mean that exactly. He's still presenting something, even though he's not presenting anything.
I'm only having a laugh. Calm down. Don't matter.
Yeah. Still, given that he's trying to attempt to disprove flat Earth.
You're not seeing what Brian's saying? I mean, Brian, what did Eratosthenes had to measure? What do you measure?
He had an elevation angle.
Oh. Can that work on a spherical surface?
No.
Oh, okay. Thanks, guy.
So he's demonstrated flat
Maybe
Earth
there's
proof.
something more that we could be doing to help them accept the truth. It is hard to say, but maybe next time you meet a flat Earth.
Hug a flat earther.
He said something we can do to help them accept the truth. Aw. Poor guy.
That he's a monkey dipchat. Yeah, we've already accepted that. You've already demonstrated it for us. You friggin' Kobayashi clown shoes, Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's just an interesting contrast. So earlier I'm fighting the idea that, I don't see it as Brian does in regards to Bob Nodell. You're saying it's a massive bad reflection on me when I'm like, nah, this whole stereotyping of a flat, that's aspect, and Earth, that's the ground we're standing on, being a group that's somehow shamed by an individual talking nonsense. It's like, well, I don't see it that way, I don't feel that way, and it's because I don't see it as a group. But when this guy does the total opposite and says, how can I appeal, or how can we appeal to these people to understand my cult truth? You're like, wow, just put this in, just step away from the notion of being on a heliocentric world or anything to do with flat Earth. Just step away from the subject matter as a whole and listen to that in context. And how culty does it sound? Now, he doesn't hear it because well, I know I'm true. I know I'm right. How could it possibly be that I'm trying to indoctrinate people? What, like a guy in a cult would think?
And what is the truth?
The Earth's a sphere, based on elevation angle measurements taken thousands of years ago with archaic sticks. Science.
Why truth is never proven?
But they do prove it. But then 6 minutes later, they'll have postulated about the stars.
Okay. But does we call that believe that truth, what they are saying?
Yeah, they can believe it based on the angle measurements they took from a flat Earth. They're allowed to believe they're on a sphere based on those flat Earth angle measurements if they want to. Everyone's entitled to their belief that's based on a flat Earth angle measurement.
Entitled to their belief? I bet you they can't even define belief.
Again, QE?
I said, I bet you they can't even define belief. They, as in ball-tard. Sphere-tards. None of them.
Sorry, just write that down. They, as in sphere-tards, as opposed to they, as in flat Earth. Okay, got it.
You can send them this video, and maybe, just maybe, they will see the light.
Whoa!
Oh, wow!
With the music and everything. Maybe they'll see the light. Wow!
I see the dark. I see the dark.
Oh,
they'll see a dumb fuck pretender clown, is what they're gonna say.
Nice round, please.
Sorry.
Don't forget to check out Surfshark VP.
No, you're all right. Okay, that's the end of his video.
Well, it seems to me that he's invited flat earthers to look at his video. So he's not even saying it's a hippie. He's saying, watch this video to learn. He's put himself forward as the educator of flat earthers.
Are you going to stick these two together, Nathan? I thought I was free and clear. I could, use some artistic license in the after show, but not.
Oh, by the way, Nathan, my daughter and son.
What the heck?
Hold on. I just want to tell them real quick. My daughter and son,
I
6
just
and 8
asked him a
they were tickled.
question.
Oh, you had a question?
Shit.
Okay.
I asked him a question, and you say, "Oh, and by the
bad.
way, Nathan."
By the way, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Outrageous. How could you interrupt at the beginning of his statement like that, QE? Go ahead, D-Rose.
No, I was gonna say my 6 and 8 year old, they were tickled to death at your poop prize video. They thought it was adorable. My wife was listening to it. She said, "Oh, she sounds so adorable." It was hilarious. They just
Everyone
kept, play it again, Daddy. Play it again, Daddy. Play it again. I had to play it like 3 times for them. That's it. That's all.
Fair enough. Okay, what am I sticking together, and what did you want artistic license for?
Artistic license for the swearing, because if they're not attached together, I thought I had more of a, how would you say, freedom in artistic license in the after show.
To a certain extent.
As long as it's still shareable.
The longer the time
Can't you just sleep us?
through the show, the less it's important that you don't swear. But if it does turn into just a tirade of swearing, then that will still get demonetized by YouTube. It is just financially motivated.
And it's probably more work for you it's more tedious to do this bleeping out every time QE opens his mouth, right?
Well, that's not strictly true either, because 10th Man had said that if I limit the swearing, it makes the show more shareable, and I agree. So there is more to it.
Yeah,
but that is still financially motivated, though, strictly speaking. Again, I said it.
Yep.
I don't know about you guys, but I had to put on my sunglasses with all this light that guy just brought to me. So I'm out here blind. All righty then.
That's pretty good, Chocolate.
I haven't heard that in a while.
Why does he need to convince us of the truth in his mind? I mean, I don't see the benefit to him, right? In the same way I don't see it from our side, to be perfectly honest. This parallels nicely. Where I'm like, well, why do you want to convert them? Why do you want to be a flat Earth evangelist? What's in it for you? What are you going to achieve? Well, same goes for him, right?
Hold on. I think it's pain relief for them.
Yeah, there we go. You're there straight away, Neil.
You're messing with my consensus. I'm very comfortable with everyone thinking the same way I do, that we all live on a magical spinning water ball. I don't like those other people over there that have a different idea of what my idea of the Earth is. So therefore, we need to convince them, because they apparently don't trust the same scientists and researchers that we trust. So we must convince them. And therefore, I made this video today to bring light to this topic for all of you lesser people. That's how I hear it.
Oh, Chocolate, I'm going through with my son because he's constantly talking to the two other guys and my wife. Like he has to convince them that I'm a nut job and I'm a crazy flat earther
That
because he
wouldn't
brings
take
all of
much.
these other things up.
It wouldn't take much to convince him of that, Neil.
Did you establish what group he's part of?
Chocolate. Chocolate keeps on bringing up. I hear this out of Chocolate a lot of times. He says they're tactics. What do you mean? You think that all the ballers have are tactics? What do you call as a tactic? I'd like to know that. Are you talking about Elmer Fudd tactics?
Yeah. Yeah, basically all the tactics they use, their fallacies, the lying, the ad homs, like all of that, everything they use, the reversal of burden proof fallacy, everything that they use, everything I hear that comes out of their mouth is some type of an okey doke. It's like the guy playing 3-card Monte on the corner in Jamaica Ave, where I grew up in New York. Right? That's all I hear. It's like, oh, look over here, look over here. Oh, you can't tell where the card is. You know, like that's.
I got it. I'm just focusing on the word. That's a nice long rebuttal to tactics. How do you define tactics?
Well, you know, the 3-card Monte go like this. You know how it goes. You know, it goes
Here we
like this.
go. I ask a question to somebody else on the panel, and D-Rose comes in and rumpuses it. What the hell, dude?
Kiwi, I'm helping. I'm helping you. I'm answering your question
You're
with the
not
tactics.
supposed to answer. It's chocolate.
Okay.
The question was addressed to chocolate. That doesn't give you free reign to jump in onto another subject or a connected subject. Just wait.
Can you all stop interrupting the start of D Rose's sentences, please? Go ahead, D Rose.
I digress.
So back to tactics. Chocolate.
An action of strategy carefully planned to achieve a specific end.
There you go. Sasha's defined it for you, Chocolate.
Yeah, I know what tactics mean, but why are you asking me what tactics mean? I don't get it.
You use the word.
Yeah, okay. So what's the problem? Do you not like how I use the word tactics when I'm describing their tactics?
It's too grandiose. Too grandiose.
I don't get it.
Too much positivity in that word. It implies forethought and strategic nature and intelligence and things of that nature. When you say tactics, I picture a guy in a room with a map in a movie saying where he's going to send all his commandos and what's going to give him the most strategic outcome. If I place the guys there and then set a decoy hit, that's tactics, right? But that's quite grandiose. So when you say they've just got tactics, that would imply that someone somewhere, the Globers, have sat down and gone, right, how are we going to confront this problem? And I don't think they're doing that. I think that's what Kiwi's going for. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
I think they are. Not all of them. I'm not general stereotyping all of them, but I think a lot of them do. I'm sure most of them are doing that in their little circles behind the scenes or whatever. Now, I know a lot of like the newcomer or like just plain normies, they're just repeating the same fairy tale that we've all heard and just regurgitating it and hoping that we accept their regurgitation of said fairy tale. But, you know, that doesn't take away that I still think a lot of them just have tactics and that's all they have. Like somebody like Rumpus.
If I give you a scenario,
So you don't have to defend yourself at all.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Wait 1 second.
I'll let Brian. John was first.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
Okay.
I was going to bring Rumpus up because Anthony brings this up when he talks about how Nathan's show is formulated. And he says that he was watching a debate between a flat earther and a glober. And Rumpus, the point was about to draw to its conclusion, and Rumpus attacked, caused a disturbance, and drew what Anthony calls a tactical foul, which is tactics. Was that tactical?
Yep.
Yep.
In that one instance, yes.
Chocolate, you don't have to defend yourself at all. I mean, they do come up with tactics. Just because their tactics aren't successful doesn't mean they're not tactics. So when QE said to you, like, what, do you think they have tactics? And you just said, yeah. You didn't need to say anything else.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, well, so what? What's the problem? I mean, how many years have we been doing this? How many of these tactics have been brought to our table? Like, am I off base for calling them tactics?
Do you believe it's eight years for some of us?
Corn bombing.
I know it's a different tangent, but 8 years, man. A long time.
I first came here episode 143. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
All right. So I asked him to define tactic, right? Or tactics. You haven't done that yet, have you?
Sasha did.
Oh, did he? Sorry, I had to walk out for a couple minutes. I had to go get some orange juice.
But you just assume no one's defined it while you've been gone. I love it.
Yeah, I know you guys haven't because you're still, talking to each other. Brian's jumped on the bandwagon over there to help out Chocolate a little bit. You need all the help you can get, and you too, Brian. An action or strategy carefully planned to achieve a specific end. Do you think these career munchers carefully planned this shit?
I think some of them do. Yes.
Yeah, they do.
It could be a personal thought, but I think some of them do. What do you mean?
Yeah, they do
an
plan it.
example
They're
of-
just not very effective because they can only plan it from their perspective. But
What he's saying is
plan.
it's garbage.
A lot of chocolates out there.
Go ahead, John. Go for it.
He's asking you.
I'm
Do you think they
I'm
carefully
looking
plan
for-
stuff? Do you think they
I'm just trying to see what's the contention, John. You're just saying that basically none of them actually carefully plan this shit. It just spouts out their mouth.
Yeah,
Is that
they're
your
not.
point?
Yeah, that's it's a weak comparison to tactics. I don't like you using that word.
I have evidence that they have tactics that were used
Well, I
against
mean,
me in the debate.
It
Yeah,
worked
but-
for so many years since they did the whole moon landing and before that. So, I mean, it is a actual tactic because how many years were we all convinced of this shit? Sorry.
Exactly.
If it's tactics,
I
it's
think a more
lame. I think that's what
appropriate
Dewey's saying.
If in
Wiley or,
2013 I would have
or a
bumped
Wangle
into
Dangle.
these anti-flat earthers, I would have become a flat earther because they're so stupid that would have actually broke me out of my belief of the globe. These people.
I've gone into the break. What did you say was a more appropriate word?
I was just saying like wily because there's no careful planning, but it's a devious and cunning strategy to manipulate, or it would be a wangle dangle, an act or
Now
instance
it's a
of
strategy.
I was gonna go
persuasion.
there. You just got there before I did. Define strategy.
Okay, fair enough. It's I'm majoring on the minors. We can move on.
The problem is that you expect the ballers to come up with tactics that are successful.
That was my point. They come up with tactics. That doesn't mean that they actually can execute the tactics correctly or effectively, but they do use them.
Yeah, instead of my war example where you've got like the general and he's got the table and it's all lit up and it's all quite grandiose. Imagine a clown with giant shoes and a couple of scraps of paper with a giant crayon going, are we going to do the show tonight?
I'll give you just one example, right, off the top of the head, right? So that hangout where it was like a bunch of ballers. I forgot what you call it, Q. You had a funny name for it. It was all of them. Rumpus.
Erectile dysfunction.
Oh, the Globe-Tard Brain Trust.
Brain Trust. Yes. So when they had that little hangout, right, and then in that hangout you hear Rumpus talk, and it was all ballers. That was a complete baller hangout. No flat earthers there, right? So you hear Rumpus, and this is just one instance in that hangout. You hear him tell the rest of them, because at the time this was during like the George Mooser nonsense and all that, and you hear Rumpus telling the rest of the guys that we have to actually start telling the physicists to not say gravity is to stop saying that gravity is not a force.
right?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, to me, that's a tactic. Right?
Okay.
It might not be a perfectly strategized plan, but to me, him sitting there telling the rest of his boys, listen, all these physicists running around out there telling everybody that gravity is not a force, this is fucking with us, and we need to stop that. Right?
Well,
that's what I heard, and to me, that's a tactical thing. Like, we need this. This is a problem for us, and we need to nip it in the butt.
That's fair enough, but that's one instance, right? So,
okay, so Rufy says he's going to get citations. Okay, just give you another one.
Shit, shut the fuck up! But that's not done by everyone. I mean, that's one particular instance. I'll grant you. Okay, I got you with that one. Yeah, and you're saying all the Baltards do this.
No, you said they were incapable. He showed that they were.
They? Who are they?
Baltards.
Baltards.
Okay, then show that you got one Baltard. Now you got to show the rest of them do it.
Well, Rufy,
just got to show one black swan, my friend.
No, you don't.
no, this isn't been put forward as a black swan. Okay,
no, you
right.
don't.
What about Rufy?
You made the positive claim.
Hello. What about Rufy getting citations removed, or that professor that took down the citation that caused a load of people problems with references?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
that's
that
like
was M. Scott. Hold on, that's M. Scott Beach, and you got Rumpus, and you got M. Scott Beach. His claim was they used taxes. You got two. Where you meant they isn't two?
Let me correct. Hold on. No, because this is messed up. You made the positive claim that they were incapable. They, Baltards.
No.
Yeah, you did. This was started from your
Sunshine.
statement.
No, Sunshine. Friggin' Chocolate said they use taxes. They, that's a stereotype. I understand it's fallacious, but we'll stick to that. They, when I get the connotation of all Baltards do this. So you have to show every single fucking one.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah,
he's moved the goalposts. Just let him have it. You made that goalpost a little bit further over. That's fine. It's okay.
What did I say earlier? I said we can move on from it.
You can move those goalposts on.
No,
it's okay.
I don't think we could move on. It's all good. I don't mind being called out. It's like, but again, I don't think I general stereotype every single baller. I did say some of them just regurgitate the nonsense they hear and just go with that.
I heard
when I say that, what I mean
I've heard you say this, not just today. All they have are tactics now.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, that's what I was going off of.
All they have are tactics.
Yeah, but he's talking about the brain trust then, right?
Yeah, you might as well have said those people. I mean, it's outrageous, really.
What? Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, I'd like to know,
Nathan.
is it QE? 1 second, sorry, QE, when you were in the military, when you were learning and you were just starting off as a normal soldier, or learning to be a soldier, did you come up with the tactics, or did higher ranks come up with the tactics of what you're going to be doing?
Hold on.
What tactics?
Well, for whatever field.
Hold on, everyone stop. Let's stop. We'll get an order. Brian, then QE, then D Rose, then John. Brian, go ahead.
Holy shit. Yeah. Wait till us, Brian and me, to finish.
Yes.
Just everyone relax, okay? Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, QE. Well, yeah, you know.
If you regurgitate someone else's tactics, is that still tactics?
Hello?
Yeah, you know the tactics used by for some military operation. Did the average soldiers who's doing that, who's involved in this operation, did they come up with the tactics, or did the tactics come from higher ranking people? Or was it just let's just do this? That didn't happen. The tactics come from higher ranking. So my point being is that the baller's brain trust, that's where those tactics start, and they permeate down through all the ballers, and they end up becoming sock account tactics on people's channels.
There you go, QE. So it's being postulated that in defense of Chocolate's claim that you've got to have a general putting this down the ranks in the way that has been exampled with Rumpus saying we've got to attack these physicists and then examples of exactly that. So, do you not think he's met the standard? I think he has. Chocolate, that is, with the help of Brian.
No, he hasn't met the standard. Do I have to repeat it again?
Okay.
They are not just the brain. If you're saying that they are the brain trust, then you have to identify each of the brain trusts, right? Every time you say they, all they have are tactics, right? Chocolate's not talking about the brain trust, whatever or whoever that might be. He's talking about all the baltards, including the flat earth deniers.
Yeah, but
I say they have tactics because they don't have evidence, right? So all they have is a cool strategy to try to convince us all that they do have evidence, as opposed to actually just having and presenting evidence.
That's
why I say all they have are tactics.
Yeah.
So
can they not use jitsu? Does that not qualify as a tactic?
No,
that's a
he's
false
talking-
dichotomy stating that they must have this because they don't have that. False dichotomy.
Okay, right. D Rose, go ahead, and then John.
I just wanted to say, in regard to Chocolate's example of the 3-card Molly, and agree with QE, and agree with everybody, it is tactical, and it does come from higher up, because you can't give these people the intellectual credit to be able to operate the way they are. Like 3-card Molly, the only way 3-card Molly works is not a sleight of the hand. It's for me and Nathan and Chocolate and say QE being my so-called upcoming walking up to the stand customers, and they act like they just came in and came on the game, but they're part of me and they're winning. So then here comes Arwen. Ooh, wow, I could do that, because he's looking at the cards. Next thing you know, he joins in, doesn't know that all 4 of us are against him. And that's how they get their money. That's tactical. That's what the heliocentric people do. They have a script. They either throw their trolls in there to be disruptive and belligerent,
Holy
or
shit.
they throw. They
You were
do the
doing
same
okay till you said
redundant crap.
script, but carry on.
Well, I think they read a script. I think they do read a script, because it's redundant. You could just predict sometimes what they're going to say. They say the same thing over and over again. Like either they pass it on and they learn from each other and say the same thing over and over again.
It's just one
redundant.
slight alteration in your wording. Just say narrative as opposed to script.
Narrative. Okay, narrative. My bad. Narrative. Okay, exactly. But it's tactical.
Prove it.
It's very tactical.
Prove it.
They do have a narrative. He doesn't have to prove that. I've changed the word so you don't have to prove script. They don't. No.
And who are they?
Those people.
I wanted to end this a long time ago, right? But you guys don't have any content or substance. You just want to hang on this thing. So let's go.
You guys.
We'll wear this to the fucking bone.
Okay, QE. Remember how we was watching?
Define you guys examples of tactics, if that's what you're after.
Hey, remember how we was watching when Nathan was going up against Josh the Jester and Dumb Dave, the 2 guys on the Earth Chronicles or whatever, and how it looked like Josh was always looking down at his keyboard like he was taking notes, like he's being consulted. You could see that in the videos. You can't tell that when they're texting or they're on the chats, but you could see that in the videos. They're always pausing, and then they'll repeat the question that Nathan or the flat Earth person says, and they'll be like, "So you want me to tell?" And that pisses us off. We'll be like, "Why are you going to keep on repeating the question I gave you so you can stall?" They're stalling because they're consulting to whoever's in their ear or whoever's giving them a side narrative to say back to response, because by themselves they're incapable of going up against any flat Earth person that knows what they're talking about.
And we've literally had that example displayed for us, as somebody
Oh,
was
that's-
hollering in somebody's ear
That's a
during some type of debate. Was it Soundly? Who was it again? Soundly and GeoStreamer or somebody? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, Soundly the Geo Whisperer.
But
Whisperer, yes, there you go.
Y'all don't see how you can't win
QE
this.
said you guys. Who are you guys?
Yes, just
Yeah,
John.
I caught him on that too. QE said, "You guys." Is that a general stereotype, Nancy, or what? What's up?
The other John, Refracted Curve just pointed out that we're in you Chocolate specifically, if we want to tie it to you in your argumentation about they. Right, you're never going to win this. QE's got you backed into a corner in that regard. You're not going to be able to...
The only thing I had was to reverse the burden on him. Yeah, there's no way to win this.
Yeah, he didn't allow that though. He was like, no, chocolate stereotyped him with A. I was going along with the stereotype. It's like, what? So you're immune from it now, are you, QE? I let that slide.
Exactly.
Yes.
Anyway, fun though that was.
Well, chocolate, QE can never use the term they again in your company.
What I do like, just to summarise what's just happened, was that in any way us debating about some really keen, shit-hot piece of evidence that the Globers have got currently that we need to be overcoming? Oh no, their evidence for a sphere. Or are we debating about their motivations in terms of their scummery and lies? Yeah, it's the motivation bit, isn't it? It's way beyond whether or not they're right. It's just, how scummy are they?
That's a good point. I just thought of this. After all the time that we spent here listening to dumbass globetards for years, what, in your opinion, each one, Nathan, you're going to have to go through each one. What, to you, is the best argument you ever heard from a spinning space monkey? How about that? Think about that. Don't have to answer it now. Let's think about that, and then we can revisit it. But just think about it.
I would say that
I already have the answer.
You know it's curved because it looks so flat.
No, the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator is the best foot forward they can take, in my opinion.
Huh,
the best globe evidence. Sorry, I thought you were. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't want to. Yeah, and I put this into Master D there only some time back. The best globe evidence that I ever encountered was the apparent rise and drop rate of Polaris. That was the best, and that's flat Earth proof. That was the best globe evidence ever.
I think the best globe evidence is
within their. Just to explain, within their paradigm, you're traveling down over or back up over an arc length within their paradigm, but it is a flat Earth proof. So the best globe evidence they got, from my opinion, that I've heard in 8 years, is a flat Earth proof.
Oh, you want to tell us again?
Go on, Alberico. Let's hear yours.
I need to hear that one more time.
I think the best globe evidence is.
Hold on. Go on, Alberico.
I think the best globe evidence is Sanix, man. When he's the citation, I mean, who could beat that?
No, this isn't being facetious. I'm asking you legitimately for the best argument you've heard. To you.
Measurements of Earth curve.
No, I've got another one. The best one they've got is a photo of Earth from space. That's their best evidence.
Really?
Yeah. No, they don't have
photos. No. Let me state this question again. Not what they think is their best evidence.
Oh.
What? Yeah.
Okay. I can't answer this question then, can I? Evidence would be to prove something, right? Well, if you're asking for the best proof of a globe, well, there isn't proof of a globe. We're not on a globe, so how can I provide you with what is the best evidence for it when there isn't any?
Okay. So let me restate it then. The best argument that you've heard for the sphere tard.
The best argument I've heard for a sphere is obviously it's a sphere. We've got pictures of it.
Okay, fair enough.
I think the measurement of its curvature is the best because it's at least it's claimed to be a measurement. Claimed to be.
We're just going to go
Not
through.
Actually.
We're going to go through housekeeping in reverse now, aren't we? So why do we ask? Is there any evidence of Earth curve? Because the best claim to be globe Earth proof is that they've got measurements of Earth curve.
Right, Adam.
That's one I had, and Celestial Navigation got rid of it, but was the understanding that if you try to triangulate a celestial object from 3 ground positions, you ended up with a dome. And the only way to resolve that was to put it out to infinity. That was one I struggled to answer until we got onto Celestial Navigation. So that would be their best argument. It was one I didn't have an answer for many years.
That's what I was looking for.
Oh, arguments we didn't have an answer for. This is a troubling argument. How do I overcome this? Coriolis effect.
Okay.
No, it was Globiolis was the issue.
We didn't know that. Did we know that? when you just came across it as a claim? Did you know that? No.
That would be the proof.
We kind of did.
when
We
it
were
was-
like, but guys, aren't you supposed to be claiming that there is drift?
I didn't.
Like,
I went.
We
I
didn't
went.
really name it, or I mean, Brian had it named there. We didn't name it yet, but we could all tell, guys, you're supposed to be claiming if there is drift. All you
Nah.
guys keep saying is telling us is how there isn't.
That's not what I did in 2015. I went. The pendulum's attached to the building. That's what I did.
Well, I think it would be what turns you into a flat earther, because that whatever information it was that changed your mind overcome what you thought was proof that it was a sphere.
That's a good point, John. We could flip it on its side. That is a good point. You can ask that question to people. What was that argument, or what was the evidence or proof that turned you?
There wasn't one for
That
me.
made
There
you
wasn't.
realize
There
that
was no
the Earth was
argument
flat.
made. For me, Math Powerland said the words flat Earth, and I don't even think he actually presented any argument. He just mentioned it without it being in ridicule. And when he said it in a different tone than I'd perhaps heard it on Vsauce videos or whatever else I'd heard the subject come up on before, was enough for me to think about all the trips over the plane and looking out over the plane, going, "Man, it looks flat. I wish I could go higher and see Earth curve." But you'd flip that on your head when you hear an alternative to what you've justified not seeing up until that point. So up until that point, I was making excuses for not seeing Earth curve without even considering there wasn't any. So the moment Math Powerland went, "Earth's flat," I went, "Holy crap, yeah, it is. I've seen it."
So it was the z-axis curvature for you.
Yeah. I appreciated, like Neil deGrasse Tyson tells people, that isn't possible to see, and you're only an ant 2 millimeters above the beach ball. Therefore, you're never going to see the x-axis curvature. So while some people were saying, "Oh, well, I like seeing Earth curve out the plane," you're like, well, you don't. You know, if you think you do, you've got a misapprehension of the scales that you can see Earth curve at. I know you can't see it. I know I'd have to go higher. I hope one day I live to be old enough and there's the technology to take me high enough to see the x-axis curvature across my field of view. But I know at this height, cruising altitude, it looks flat. That's all I can see, it flat for miles.
Oh yeah, my story if you want to hear it.
So
Brian, can you make it concise, please?
Yeah, I can actually. Yeah.
Hey, just before you do, that might be why Nathan has such an appreciation for Neil deGrasse Tyson slapping the beach ball.
Yeah, that's why I recognised it pretty quickly as a really good magic trick by him.
Is that one?
Or a really good tactic.
Oh, brother.
That is tactics. No, he has sat down at a table and carefully constructed that.
Oh, can I elaborate on this brain trust that we were talking about earlier?
I thought Brian was.
I was
gonna
about to
go
say
next.
Brian's about to get something in.
No,
but
I
yes,
guess not.
You can after Brian because he's in the queue.
You
but
can't
yes,
have
straight.
Brian, Mr. Guess Not.
Go ahead, Brian.
Guess been waiting for
Brian, then Arwen.
freaking
Go ahead,
45
Brian.
minutes to get a single word in. Yeah.
Brian, can you concede? Because
I'll
otherwise
leave Arwen
Arwen's going to have
go
a
ahead.
hissy fit over it.
Yeah,
Go
I'll
ahead,
leave Arwen go
Arwen.
ahead, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, you're talking about this brain trust. So who is this Baltard brain trust? Well, maybe it could be the Bilderberg Group, the Curved Triangle Commission, and the Council on Extraterrestrial Refraction.
Ah,
That's pretty good.
Well
Good
worth it. Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
Brian.
Yeah, I make it concise. When I saw Eric DeBay's, yeah, you know it's going to be impossible. But if I don't say it's going to be concise, you won't leave me talk, right? So,
That sounds
yeah,
tactical,
when I saw,
man.
yeah, it's tactical, right? All I got is tactics, chocolate. Yeah, I saw Eric DeBay's video back in 2015, one of his videos, and within 8 seconds of the video, I had turned into a flat earther. I realized that I never really believed in the globe because he said two things in that video. One of them was the horizon always appears to rise to eye level, and that kind of was the end of it for me, because I knew this can't happen on a globe. And that is what happens. As you rise, even though your depression angle to the horizon changes, the horizon itself, sea level, doesn't go down as you go up. You just go up. And that was the end of that. I just knew it straight away. No, because I spent so much time, I've flown around the world, sorry for that, pardon the pun, and I had, because in my own head, that's what I had done at the time. And I had spent a lot of time on the sea on very small boats when I was young. So every effect that there was to see at the horizon of boats or whatever else, because you see them all when you're low, when you're 3 or 4 feet above the waterline, you see every effect. And I saw them all, and I knew what they were, and I knew what they weren't. And even though I couldn't detail them at the time, I knew that they weren't our curve, and I knew that the horizon always appears to rise to eye level. Right, it doesn't actually, but it gives you the impression that it does. That can't happen on a globe. That was the end of that. 8 seconds into his video, went, yeah, it's flat. I started laughing.
Name was Mark Sargent, after my brother, of course, started telling me about flat Earth. But when I seen Mark Sargent's video, that was it.
Clue 1, the empty theater.
I want to hear QAs. I believe it's gas pressure, but
That's not in the container.
Everyone knows
Get on
mine.
it, because
That's
you
a
should have
Neil
found that out a long time ago.
Holy shit.
Maybe we can hear QE say it.
Say what? Here we go. Look at Neil. Got to start talking now. Your mic's a train wreck.
Right, I'm going to round out. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. Yes, Clover. Thank you. And I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!